You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Hope your week got off to a good start yesterday. Thanks so much for being with us today here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good show lined up for you. Mark, how are you this morning?
I'm doing great. Fired up about today.
Really?
Yeah, changed my morning routine a little bit, a little more energy that I have than a usual day. So I'm fired up. I'm in a good mood.
Hold on a second. You changed your morning routine.
I did.
Your morning routine, as best that I can tell, not that we talk about this a lot, but based on stuff that you have said on the air since we went to mornings, although our second act and third act's a little different morning routine, but as best I could tell for most of the last 9 months is you wake up around 4:45.
Thereabouts.
Do
a little,
whatever.
tiny bit earlier, but not much.
There's a shower involved. There's some coffee involved. Maybe minimal amounts of food involved.
There was no coffee nor no food involved up until today. I make coffee. I bring coffee. I typically don't even start drinking coffee until this show starts.
You do bring in, for the record, you bring in how many things of coffee?
Two tall travel mugs.
Right. So you bring in about, 40 plus ounces of coffee?
I don't think it's that much. I would say 32.
Okay.
That would be my guess.
All right.
I've never really measured the French press. It is one French press that I make every morning for myself. And this morning, I make coffee for my wife. I make it for myself. Usually get ready the night before, trying to save time in the morning, David.
Wow. That's very organized.
It is. Well, you know my wife.
Well,
I don't have much of a choice.
So
Time to get ready for tomorrow morning. The cleaners are coming. Oh, sorry.
That's well, that means we
tomorrow.
must do the dishes and clean the house.
Right.
So, all right. So what's different now?
I never have coffee before I come to the show.
Okay.
And I just kind of get ready, take the dog out, do my thing, and I come here.
Right.
And I get here at about 5:30. And I said, you know what? 5:35. But no, it's been later because I changed the routine. I sit down at the table. I sit with my phone. I go through the sports page, and I have a coffee at home. I started that today, and it was glorious.
You figure if you're going to sit there and not talk to someone, you might as well do it at home as opposed to here in the studio.
Bingo.
Because I get here between 5:30 and 5:35. Mark usually gets here between 5:35 and about 5:38. And then we sit here, and after we grunt at one another, we basically don't talk to one another until the start of the show.
Ever. And I've tried over the years, I have tried to have a conversation with David. He's not interested. No. I'm not. You are not interested. Hey, how you doing? Good.
Yeah.
I get a word, and usually it's a one-syllable word.
There's some grunting involved.
Good. And then once in a while, there's a story that he'll want to tell me about that involves sports. Once in a while.
Right.
But if I say something horrific like, hey, got an idea for a poll question?
What?
I don't even get that.
My brain's not working at 5:45, 5:50 in the morning. Are you kidding me? Listen, I don't want to say it's bad. Friends of the show are texting us suggesting poll questions.
I love it. I love our R&D. Pay a lot of money for those folks.
We do?
No.
So I got a poll question that was text to me late yesterday afternoon. All right. Longtime friend of the show, Mark. Hey, I just thought of a pretty good poll question. What is your coin of choice on a scratch off? And I countered with, you know what? I would take that and change it to, what is your coin of choice to mark your golf ball with?
Exactly. But here's the funny thing about that. That was a great question when you played golf. I don't know, and I'm not kidding. Very rarely do I ever see anyone use a coin to mark their ball anymore.
Wow.
Ever. Big poker chips are kind of in vogue now.
That's the thing?
Or like I have a little, metal, like some people keep it on their hat. I have a little one my daughter bought me, little ball mark that I always use. But every once in a while, I will forget that, and I'll have to grab in the change drawer, grab a couple of dimes, grab a couple of quarters. And I've noticed that nobody that I play golf with uses a coin to mark their ball.
Huh. Why is that? Is it just beneath golfers now?
I can't help you.
Or has golf now become such a, prominent sport that, well, a quarter would never mark my ball with a mere quarter.
There is a little bit of that Muffy Buffy feel out there, and I don't like it.
I was always a quarter guy.
I usually tried to carry a quarter and a dime, so I had the small one in case I was up by where you had
the hole.
Near the hole, and you had to move it for someone's. I always wanted a smaller mark.
Everybody else I used to play with always used like a dime or a penny, and they'd yell at me because I had the quarter. They're like, look at that thing, and it's in the way.
And that would be considered a small ball marker these days. I mean, it's basically manhole covers out there. And maybe it's because I play with older guys, and they just want to be able to see them.
Could be.
But now, when I play tomorrow, I'll get into the of course, the inquisitive part of the R&D, David.
Of course, the funny thing is, you know what? Tell you what, here's a recommendation for a poll question. All right. How long a putt? Like, what is the limit of a gimme?
Depends on the group.
Well, that's why you can have multiple choices to this answer. I think it's another reason why I'm surprised that the ball marks are so big because, from what, and granted, I hardly play golf anymore, but I mean, I have been surprised over the years at how much further away from the hole is, that's good. Good. What are you talking about? That's good.
As the round goes on, depending on how, like where I play, it's usually you're usually in a team with your foursome.
Uh-huh.
When it's going well, believe it or not, putts are not given as much when you're actually in the hunt. But when you're realizing that you're on 12 and you're looking at your team score and you're going, we've got no shot. 3 and 4 footers tend to be good a lot more. Not necessarily, never for birdie, but when you've muffed the hole up a little bit, just that's good. Get that out of there.
All right.
See, I thought a gimme was when you put the club head of the putter in the hole and then you measure it. It's between the head and the grip.
Inside the leather.
Correct.
Is a commonality. Yes.
Of course. Nowadays, I mean, and putters have gotten
right
bigger.
With the belly putter out there.
So there's a couple early nominations, Mark.
I like it.
What it is you use to mark your ball with, or you could just go with, scratch off. See, I don't buy scratch offs. So it's why I was not inclined to go. But then again, I don't play golf anymore, basically. So, either poll question really doesn't apply to me anymore. Hopefully one day. How many years now have I been trying to play golf again?
So long, David,
7,
that
8,
I've given up on you.
Yeah,
because I pressed you when I joined the club that I'm at now and said, hey, there's a member guest. How about you get your act in gear and Miller and Moulton take this place on? And you have completely you just ignored it. And
well, we started our second act. It'll be 5 years ago in September was when we began our second act. And I said, hey, just give me a little time. I got to buy some clubs, take a few lessons again. It's been a little while. I don't want to go out there and, not at least shoot, mid 80s. So, next year I'll do it in the spring. Right.
You're setting some high expectations for yourself.
No, actually, I'm not. All right. I used to be able to play. It shouldn't take me very long. If I were to literally get a set of clubs and take 2 lessons, I could probably go out and shoot 86. All right. Once you can play
I wish
golf,
I could, because I used to be out of game and I can't do that.
I really want to see you play golf.
I'm just of the belief once you could play golf decently, it doesn't, you just gotta.
Good luck with that.
All right. We'll see.
I'm telling you, someone who took a lot of years off from the game, good luck with that.
All right.
Maybe you're a much better player than I ever was.
Yeah. So that's my thing. And
it's a great theory.
I need to hold on to it. It's the only thing that's keeping me tied to the game.
It's a great thing if you don't play, just keep going with that theory. I know I could shoot that. Whether or not you can, that you have a good swing thought, David. You have a good positive golf thought right there.
Yes, I do. I feel like Tiger. I know I still have my hands because when I fart around chipping and putting, I chip and putt fine. All right. So that, keeps me inclined to wanting to come back at some point and play. But that's nearly 5 years ago. I have not played around the golf since we started our second act. I know that for a fact. So it's been 7-8 years since I've hit, besides going to like Top Golf or, a range, maybe 3 times and just hitting it around just for, what, and giggles. But so we'll see. The goal is 2023.
So you and Jack basically done playing the game is what you're
right.
telling me.
Jack didn't even bring his clubs over to St. Andrews for the 4-hole event. Didn't even bring his clubs. He said, I said goodbye in 2005. And I was invited back in 2010 and in 2015. And I said no because, a big deal was made in 2005. And I didn't want it to be one of those, I retired. And then I came back and, we do more ceremony. He said, and the only reason I'm back now, he goes, not for the 150th anniversary. He goes, I'm back because they're making me an honorary citizen of St. Andrews, and I'm only the 3rd American to ever be given that honor. He goes, that's why I'm here. He said, my golf career's over. I don't need to come back to, what have you. So that's interesting.
What point is he going to just say no to hitting the drive at Augusta, for crying out loud?
Well, if you listen to Jack, it sounds like it's damn near the only golf shot he hits all year. Like He shows up at the range, and that little 20, 30-minute warm-up is the first time he's hit the ball since the year before. I mean, that's how done he seems to be with it. But you could see that. I mean, you play the game at a certain level. I mean, you really think when you
can't be fun
playing it at Jack's level, go out and play bogey golf.
Right.
Hey, listen, Tiger's on the record is saying this might be the last time that I play here where I have a legitimate chance to contend. So that's Tiger because, and they play this thing basically every 5 years. And Tiger would be 51 the next time they play here in theory. And Tiger's already indicating that, I probably, no, probably not going to be around playing then.
I'm not going to take that bet. I'll say he'll say the same thing in like 5 years, if you know what I mean.
That, not many places I can contend, but I can contend here.
Right.
Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Nancy's in there with Gina Birch. You are the star of this station. And I said, John, I'm walking out the door just losing my shit. I go, he's in there every day listening to Journey or whatever it is, and he's just all fucking in. So Moulton and I have an over-under MLK Day. He just lost it. I said, I give David credit. I said Christmas. He says, no. They don't fire anybody before Christmas around there. And he's like, yeah, you're right.
That guy said, no, they fired people in early January. He used washers to mark with? What are washers?
Washers, like a, washer with nuts and bolts, a washer.
Oh, okay. Got it. Sorry.
Good morning, John, in Crockett, Texas. It's a YouTube thing. You can't see it.
Thank you, Benny. Yeah, I will say the DOJ did investigate the PGA Tour back in '94 when they were shutting down Norman's concept for a World Golf Tour. And they kind of sort of let them get away with it.
And the PGA thinks that they'll get away with this the exact same way.
Right. Now, I will say the World Golf Ranking thing is interesting. I do think there's more to this than that. That wasn't, I don't believe, as serious a threat to the PGA Tour as this is.
Someone did send, or what is the lowest value of coin you'll bend over to pick up? I like that one because it gets away from specific golf.
Yeah. There you go.
And the scratcher, not
there you
everybody
go.
plays scratcher.
So penny, nickel, dime, quarter.
Yeah.
All right.
I had to look. Mel Tucker's trending. I'm like, why is Mel Tucker trending? It's because, what is the thing they have here? Number of times. Here are the top college football teams last season and how many times a picture of their head coach has been tweeted from the football account in the last 30 days. 0s and 1s across the board. Notre Dame 5, Oklahoma 3, couple of 2s, Michigan State 25.
They are paying him a lot of money.
They're paying him a lot. You know what? He's the face of the program. What are you supposed to do?
Come on, go Raiders. It's a July game. Besides, $43 million a year. He needs to pitch well.
And by the way, you really want to start a controversy in our house. Say the sports gods, the gambling gods, say anything but God. Oh, my God. My wife has my daughter. There are no such things. We play this dice game. I go, I need the dice gods. There is no such thing as dice gods. There's only one God, Dad.
Honey, I love you.
It doesn't entice me to say it more, does it?
No. Honey, I love you. You've obviously never gambled. Wait until you start playing sports, honey. Get back to me.
I need to bring a hoodie every day. It's freaking cold.
Yeah.
It's not even cold in here yet.
I know.
In here, though?
No doubt. Just bring, whether it's a hoodie, a jacket, whatever it is. Yes.
Why don't you bring your blankie?
Oh, bring my blankie. Oh.
Do you need your stuffed animal too?
Bro, let's play golf. Mark.
Yeah?
Let's play golf.
I'm playing tomorrow and Friday.
Go Raiders. I'm a huge Mets fan. You got to remember, they got 14 more meetings, these two teams. 14 more. Mets schedule's tough the rest of the way. Mets had a pretty easy first 2 months when they played that great baseball. But I will say this. They can keep Scherzer and DeGrom healthy post All-Star break. That's going to be a tough team.
Ronald Acuna is very good.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Good show lined up today. Pat Kirwan at the top of the 8 o'clock hour. Talk a little NASCAR. Todd Bodine will join us.
Look at that.
Yeah, that was a nice little happening. I covered his first ever NASCAR race. The Bodine families from, whether you want to call it the southern tier of New York, upstate New York, Chemung is the town where they're from. And it was an hour or so from Watkins Glen. So that was like their home track, kind of the way Chase Elliott winning in Atlanta. You know, he's from Dawsonville, Georgia. That's his home track. And Todd Bodine made his then Winston Cup debut at the NASCAR race at the Glen 30 years ago. And I believe all three Bodines were in the Cup race. So,
which one drove the Skull Bandit car? Didn't one of them drive the Skull car? No, that's Harry Gant had the Skull car.
Gant had the Skull. Jeff Bodine was the one that, as a rookie in the Daytona 500, he was the one who had the war with Earnhardt. They were the ones that were wrecking each other. That was played out in Days of Thunder.
Right.
That was Jeff Bodine. And he was in the Levi Garrett 5 car. He replaced, I think, DW driving the Budweiser 11 car.
The Levi Garrett car I was thinking of.
Yeah. That was when he first started to make it.
That's when it was a series.
That's the power of advertising. Here we are 35, 40 years later. You remember the power of marketing. And those races were just 1 o'clock Sundays on ESPN. That's it. There was no network. There was no prime time. That was just 1 o'clock Sundays, ESPN.
A lot of old guys listening right now. And that's when those races should be, too. Damn it.
They didn't have the safety, and they just ran and wrecked. Yep.
Sometimes they won by 3 and 4 laps.
That's when you bought tickets to the race. They handed you smokes as you walked in.
And as you walked out. Don't kid yourself.
I remember the first time I walked into a race at Pocono and they handed me smokes. I said, I'm a member of the media. Okay. And they went, oh, you're a member of the media? Okay. And they went from handing me 2 smokes to handing me a carton. I go, I don't smoke. And some guy behind me reached over and said, I do, son. And he grabbed them right out of me. I thought it was great. So that was my role every time we covered the 2 NASCAR races at Pocono. All right. People remember this little, young face, and they're like, oh, he doesn't smoke, but he, and I would every day get a carton of smokes, and we'd be there all week. I would just hand them out. Here you go.
Very popular media member.
That's right. How you doing?
We had much higher thoughts of the media then, because they were giving us free stuff.
Well, I was asking for help because I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I'm like, here's the deal. I'll give you a carton. You need to help me get an interview with Harry Gant. I'll just walk up to him. He's a great guy. He scares the hell out of me. They were great guys, though. It was amazing. Your introduction to the media, having to deal with baseball players and football players and what have you. And I had yet to start dealing with hockey players and didn't realize how great they were. But the NASCAR drivers were amazing.
And for the most part, still are.
Yes, they really are. They really are. They believe that the fans are, basically it trickles down, and the fans, they believe, are paying a good chunk of what it is they make. And so it's why, if you get involved in that sport in some way, shape, or form, you usually stay a fan of it. Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday, but a nice show lined up for you, including Todd Bodine a couple hours from now, talking about the, latest war on the series between Ross Chastain, our buddy, and Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, Ross is not, he might win popularity among the fans. He is not gaining that same popularity amongst the drivers, David.
No. And, we talked about this. There needs to be a trust factor on the track. And at some point, who will race with you? And when the only guy on the track that will race with you is your teammate, well, then for Ross, that means Daniel Suarez has to be up in the top 5, which at times he's been, but not as consistently as Ross. Because it's right now tough for guys to trust racing around Ross. And that's a problem.
Yeah, he is racing at the edge every race like it's his last race. And it's exciting as hell from a fan standpoint to watch, but it's not great for his longevity of being an elite cup driver.
And since obviously he's not a champion yet, at what point, like if he were to win it this year, can you then continue to race that way, if you know what I mean? Like, if you think about it, Earnhardt won a championship really early in his cup career. And now granted, they raced a little differently then, 40 years ago. They did. But I'm wondering if Chastain doesn't alter his racing this year, but wins the championship, can he then
say, screw it? This is how I race.
Right. And, without saying it, basically be, hey, I'm Earnhardt 40 years later. This is how I race. Now, obviously, he can't say that.
No. But
no one else can say that.
But to say I'm out here to win. My job's to win championships,
right.
And I did. And he's got he's got a quiet confidence to him. He's got that all shucks confidence about him and doesn't, he apologizes, but it's
right. It's the annoying apology.
Damn
it's
right
the apology with the smile on your face. Right. It's kind of, oh, sure you apologize.
Yeah, I wrecked him, but I won.
Yeah, I finished 25th and you finished second, you blankety blank. Yeah. Apologize. Sure. It's easy to apologize now. I mean, like, he wasn't apologizing during the race. That's usually like when the drivers really, they can relay immediately. It's kind of like, listen, I don't want, when this race is over, I really don't want you, punching my lights out. I'm really sorry. And it translates. You get one member of the pit crew goes down to the other to try to, say, listen, he screwed up. We're really sorry, the whole deal. You're just trying to prevent a brawl at the end. There was no indication that Ross Chastain, said, to his team, oh man, I can't believe I did it again to the 11 car.
Well, and then there's the other part of it too. Hamlin just keeps running his mouth about Ross, and there's maybe a little part of Ross saying, just keep running your mouth, because I've got no problem doing this to you over and over and over again. If we're going to race and you're going to talk about me, then I'm going to race you. I mean, there is that.
And also, I think this is a genuine rivalry, because the last time there was a little encounter on the track, it was Hamlin blocking Chastain for multiple laps and slowing down, speeding up. I mean, it was almost like that annoying driver on I-75. All right. That's like going out of their way to stay in front of you and not letting you pass. I mean, that was Hamlin to Chastain the last time that they were in a competitive situation together. Actually kind of funny. I mean, it really was. I mean, these guys don't have rearview mirrors, and it was as if Hamlin was driving, looking at his rearview mirror the whole time. So we'll have some fun a couple hours talking to Todd Bodine about that.
Pat Kirwan on the show as well, because it is a Tuesday, and we'll talk some National Football League as another day goes by, and we still have no idea what's going on with Deshaun Watson.
And neither does he. This is the week, though. The briefs are due this week.
Right, but yesterday I read some stuff. The briefs are due this week. They still don't have any indication that they'll even be before training camp. They are playing this so...
Right. Well, the hope is that Judge Robertson will get the final briefs this week and rule next week, which is the week before training camp. But of course, what's likely to happen? Even if that time frame, someone's likely to appeal. So there'll be a penalty that's out there, but it won't be final.
It's not final until Raj says it's final, David.
Right. Right. It's a hell of a system he's got there. Miller and Moulton. The starting 5 is next. Thanks for listening.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
More than 50 million people across the country's southeast are under warnings for excessive heat. And boy, don't you know that? 105 degrees in Texas today. I just spoke with my mother. That's what she's dealing with. It's a major heat wave. And it's just hitting everywhere. We're so lucky. It's
in Albany, New York.
Degrees here. We are really
Albany.
lucky here in the capital region.
She's in Albany.
I mean, let me tell you about that.
She'll be lucky to still be in Albany.
She's done. No, she's done. She quit.
Oh, really? I'm surprised.
According to the story, TV news anchor who got suspended for appearing sloppy drunk on air blames her bosses for overworking and then quits on their asses. Because she points out another marathon weekend. See you 6 to 8 a.m., then 6 and 11. I'll be back Sunday from 7 to 9 a.m., 6:30 and 11 p.m. So she did the mornings and then both. She gets the person's name wrong. That's fantastic. God bless her.
Yeah, Ohio State all happy. They're wearing the blacks in prime time against Wisconsin. And man, the Blackhawks, it's unbelievable. Man, there's a part of me that, which you're Bettman here, you want to call up the ownership and go, guys, you're like tanking.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes for the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Remember yesterday, talked about the story about the Canes and their independence in football, that it was a story that was written on stateoftheu.com. Well, the author of that story, Rob Weaver, is going to join us an hour from now.
Fantastic.
And make his case with us, and then we'll debate it going forward. Pat Kirwan at the top of the 8 o'clock hour, Todd Bodine in 2 hours. Right now, time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Rays hosting a 4-gamer with the Red Sox. 15 runs scored, no home runs, which is an oddity these days. Tampa Bay, a winner 10-5. Diaz with 3 hits and 3 RBIs for the Rays, who moved within a half a game of the Sox for second in the AL East. The so-called big series in baseball began last night in Atlanta, 3-gamer between the Mets and the Braves. New York assuring themselves that at least they'll leave Atlanta in first place, winning game 1 of the best of 3, 4-1. Max Scherzer outpitching Max Fried, 7 innings, 1-run ball, 9 strikeouts for Scherzer. Mets now lead the Braves by 2.5, 3 in the loss column. These two teams play 14 more times the rest of the year. Like 1 out of every 5 games, basically, the rest of the season is going to be between each other, the Mets and the Braves. It should be fairly entertaining.
Really entertaining.
Well, also think about this. Like, for the most part, we're not given a whole lot of credence to what seed you are in baseball. They're going to try something new this year. We're going to 6 teams. I think the first 2 get buys, 3's playing 6, 4's playing 5, and I don't think they reseed. I could be wrong, but I don't think they reseed. So think about it. The division winners are going to be 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 2 are going to get a bye. We don't know if that's a good thing or not in baseball.
No, we don't. But you're going to play best of 3 in the other series.
Mm-hmm. And then go right into the next series. So in theory, at the start of the next series,
it's your ace against a 4 or a 3, number 3 starter.
And you're at home and you're rested, raring up, the whole deal. But think about the difference. Right now, let's just say the rest of the way, the Dodgers have, I think, like a 2-game lead on the Mets. and I think a 5-game lead in the loss column on the Braves. Let's just say we give the Dodgers the 1 seed. Well, the winner of the East then gets the 2 seed. Mark, I could argue that's the position to get in the National League because A, you get a bye, but B, if what I believe is true, you get the winner of the 3-6 series. Well, think about it. There's a very good chance that whichever team doesn't win the East is going to be the 4. And right now, that would be Braves Padres in a first-round best of 3, the 4-5. And the winner likely to get the Dodgers. Meanwhile, if you're the Mets today, you're the 2. It would be Brewers hosting, and right now it's a tie between the Phillies and Cardinals. So whichever one you want. And you play the winner of that series. Well, I mean, think about your road as the 4 seed in the National League. First off, Padres, pretty salty team to have to play in a best of 3 because they've got starting pitching. And then in theory, you win that, and you're going to have to go through both the Dodgers and the winner of the NL East. And also, if you're the Dodgers, kind of like, great. I mean, think about it. They're like, really? Mets win the East? My reward? I'm going to have to play the Braves right out of the chute? Are you serious? They won the World Series. They beat us last year.
I mean, they'll probably have to play the Mets.
Probably. Yes. I mean, my money's still on the Braves to win the East. But, right. So it's interesting if that's the only real, it's probably going to have a battle as to the 6 seed, but also the difference as to who wins the NL East and who's the wild card could turn out to be very significant when usually we don't think it is in baseball. So we'll see. Phillies, by the way, lost to the Cardinals 6-1. Those 2 teams ended up splitting their 4-game series. So they're tied for the 6 seed. Phillies are 8 back of first. Cardinals are 2 back of the Brewers in the Central. Royals swept 2 from Detroit, 3-1 and 7-3. It's a big week for the Marlins. They had 4 with the Pirates at home, and then they get the Phillies for 3. And in theory, it's like, hey, we win both series. We put a 5-2 week on the board. We're over 500 at the All-Star break.
Didn't start out the right way, that's for certain.
No, they only had 5 hits and a 5-1 loss at home to the Pirates. Marlins are 4 back of both the Phillies and Cardinals, and the Giants are also ahead of them. So the Marlins are 4 out of the playoffs right now and have to hurdle 3 teams. Cleveland doubled up the White Sox in the battle for second in the AL Central, 8-4 the final. Nolan Jones with 4 RBIs. He's had a hell of a first 4 games in the majors. I think he's got like 12 RBIs. Padres 6-5 over the Rockies. They had lost 10 straight at Coors Field. Machado with a homer. Apparently it's a sight to be seen. They're like saying it's like damn near 500 feet. Diamondbacks 4-3 over the Giants, who are only a game over 500, and they're 2 back of both Philly and the Cardinals for the 6 seed. And the Oakland A's are now 30 games below 500. That's tough to do at the end of a 162-game season. It's really tough to do in the first 90 games of a season. 10-8 Texas over the A's.
Even the Reds, who tried to get to 20 games below 500 in the first 25 games.
Yeah. I mean, they lost 20 of 21, and they're looking at the A's like, man, you guys suck. NHL free agency begins tomorrow at noon, and for the first time in his Hall of Fame career, Evgeny Malkin is going to be a free agent. So Letang signed for 6 years. He and Malkin are basically the same age. And Malkin looked at the Penguins and said, listen, you gave him 6. You got to give me 4. And the Penguins are like, dude, we ain't giving you 4. So Malkin said, okay.
First off, I was stunned they gave Letang 6. I thought that was way too many. And I understand Letang had the power because they need his skill and they have no defense. Malkin's injured a lot. Malkin clearly is a step slower than he was, where Letang does not look like any different of a player right now. I still think the contract was too long. It's time.
So apparently the Penguins are willing to go maybe to 3 years. They had a 2-year offer on the table. They were hemming and hawing at 3, reportedly. He lives in South Florida, and the Panthers have a 1-year, $6 million offer reportedly on the table. I'm wondering if they up that to 2 and 12 if he takes it.
He will. I don't think there's going to be a great market for him out there.
Well, Mark, there may not be a great market for a lot of guys. Nobody has any money.
Right.
The salary cap went up $1 million this year. The 2 years before it didn't go up a dime. It's only going up $1 million next year, and they think only $1 million the following. This is all because of the pandemic, and the NHL makes most of their revenue on fans, and they went a year plus without any fans. So salaries are not moving. NBA news, Orlando, after 2 Summer League games, they're doing load management on first overall pick Paolo Banchero.
Yeah, they've seen enough.
Right. 2 games, Mark, and that's it. He doesn't play any more Summer League. Damian Lillard, we didn't talk about this yesterday. Over the weekend, Mark, the 31-year-old signed a 2-year extension. He had 3 years at $46 million a year on average left on his contract. The Blazers said, listen, why don't we give you 2 years, $122 million? Well, tack it on top of it. That means over the next 5 years, you'll make $259 million. Is $52 million a year enough for you to not want to trade out of Portland and stay here the rest of your career? And he went, yeah, 52 will work. Right.
52 plus whatever he's getting from those Modelo commercials.
Right. Zach LaVine officially re-signing with the Bulls yesterday, 5 for $215. That's $43 a year. It's the richest contract in Bulls history. That just needs to be said to make you realize that someone now has gotten more per year than Michael Jordan ever did.
Who? You know what? Shake your head all you want. I want you to walk around today and ask adults who Zach LaVine plays for. Good luck with that.
I know you know who Zach LaVine is.
He could walk into this room and I wouldn't recognize him.
Okay. Felipe, honestly, if we had not mentioned this, we could have done a poll question today in which it was simply, who is Zach LaVine? One of the choices would have been a guard on the Bulls, and one of the choices would have been a member of a boy band. Okay, and then we would have come up with a crazy third.
We could have put starting pitcher for whatever team, left wing for whoever,
right.
and wide receiver for the Raiders. Are you kidding me?
I think Zach LaVine. I think potentially a member of a boy band. All right, so
I thought he pitched for the Braves. I thought he was their third starter.
Board of Governors in the NBA expected today to fully approve the play-in.
How much money did I don't care.
43 a year.
$43 million.
Which is the most they could give him based on his service time. That was the most they could offer him. So they offered. That's what everybody's doing these days, Mark. Everybody's getting a max.
I gotcha.
Max. I mean, it was Scherzer against Fried in Atlanta last night. Trust me, far more maxes in the NBA than on the mound in Atlanta last night.
LaVine's a great player. He's a great player.
He's a great scorer. He doesn't play a lick of defense.
That's true.
NFL, it's no longer Heinz Field. Listen, are they going to make as big a deal in Pittsburgh about that as they're making in Los Angeles with no longer being Staples Center?
Oh, they are. They already are. I mean, this is blasphemous.
I think the Yinzers are going to be ticked off about it. I just think it's one they'll call Heinz Field forever. I don't care what the name is.
Heinz came out.
Heinz Field.
Heinz came out yesterday and said, listen, we wanted to, but they just offered far more money than we thought we could. They said, we're still going to be associated with the team. We're actually going to have an announcement coming up in a couple days, but we just couldn't afford this anymore. So what are we talking here? Acrisure Stadium. It's a top 10 global insurance brokerage firm.
Nothing screams Pittsburgh quite like who?
Acrisure Stadium.
Yeah.
It's a 15-year deal, Mark. By the way, one other note. Remember it was how many months ago, 4, 5, 6, Kay Adams said, I'm leaving Good Morning Football.
Right.
They officially announced Jamie Erdahl as her replacement yesterday. She had been sideline reporter for the SEC on CBS, also did sidelines during the NCAA tournament. Before that, had been a sideline reporter in the NFL. So Jamie Erdahl replacing Kay Adams on Good Morning Football. Long-time Michigan man, 23 years at the University of Michigan, 5.5 as head coach. Gary Moeller died yesterday at the age of 81. Quick note. Remember what Moeller got fired for? Mid-90s. Gary Moeller, I think there was an event of some kind, and then they went to the bar, and he had a couple, and some fan gave him a hard time, and he got caught on tape in a little bit of a drunken verbal, altercation with a fan, and he basically was forced to resign. You talk about how much times have changed, because now Lloyd Carr, took over 3 years later, won a national title and all that. But, I mean, if that happened nowadays, would Gary Moeller be forced to resign?
I don't believe so.
I mean, think about Tressel. I mean, you really think about it. And that was what, at the end of the 2010 season? It was Memorial Day weekend 2011, I think it was, that Tressel resigned. I mean, tattoos. I mean, when you look
lying.
Yeah, okay. But
lying about it.
I understand.
I know, but
I mean, 11 plus years later, with everything that's going on in the world, would Jim Tressel be forced to resign? I mean, at the time Jim Tressel resigned, it was, Urban had just retired.
No, I know.
And you had Nick, and, now Bobby was still coaching and all that, but you know what I mean? Jim Tressel was one of the three biggest coaches in the sport.
Yeah, I think Tressel would still be in trouble for covering up something.
Okay.
I do. I don't know if he'd be fired, David. And I think Moeller would still be in trouble for being drunk and arguing with the fan.
But do you think he'd be pressured to resign?
No.
Going to take some time off, get a hold of myself. I shouldn't have done it, that whole deal. By the way, the Department of Justice came out yesterday, and they didn't say this, but word was leaked that they're investigating the PGA Tour about how they're handling the players and the antitrust violations, specifically putting the pressure on for the WGR to not offer points for their events. So there you have it. That was the starting five. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for being with us. Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. featuring band attachments to your feet and hips. Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Have you ever tried for Ruiz? Do we have any idea how to even?
I've had no luck. None.
Did you go through his company?
I actually have sick John on it and said, John, can you get us Ruiz? Because I made no progress.
Gotcha. He did make it a horseshoe too.
Wait, what?
Stadium's a horseshoe to you. Overlooking a lake.
But Elliot, 7:38 Thursday. Also, Bud is confirming his kids' school start time, but I'm thinking Wednesdays 7:38.
That'd be awesome
for Bud, since we're going to do Roto on Thursdays. Okay. So, when we meet later and we're mapping it out, that would be at least 2 booked in on Wednesday. At least have Roto right now for Thursday. And Lee can do 7:21 again on Friday. So. So a plan coming together.
I like it.
Kevin Brockaway's coming back. He left kind of Gainesville and went to Indiana a few years ago, like 3-4 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
He tweeted out over the weekend he's coming back to do the Gators beat. So. Paul says I would have gone with boy band. Telling you, I don't think Chicago Bull would have won.
And didn't Jordan, to come back in '98, didn't he sign that 1 year, $30 million deal that was like way ahead of his time?
I don't know about way ahead, but he did sign a $30 million because it was either today or yesterday because I just read it.
Yeah. But like no NBA player had ever made even close to.
Well, but there was no cap then either. And
there was no cap back then?
I don't believe there was a cap in the late 90s.
Whoa.
I don't believe so.
We going with what is the smallest value coin you would bend over to pick up?
Yeah, I like it.
DeAndre Jordan has a great celebration where every time he throws an assist, he like bends down and picks up your dime on the floor. It's a good one.
That's cute.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
What's Top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us on this Tuesday. Nice show lined up for you. The guests will start in 35 minutes or so. You can always text the show if you never have before. It's real simple. FSN Radio is the keyword, all one word, FSN Radio. Send it to 21,000, 21000. Just like that, you're through. And you can text us whenever you want, how many times you want. We are live on the Miller Moulton Twitch.tv channel. And once you follow us, subscribe to us, whatever the case may be, or just watch us, there's the Twitch chat room, and you can fire away whatever is on your mind. We got one vote for Zach Levine being a member of a boy band. That was a possible poll question. We blew it. We really could have had some fun with that.
I think we still don't know what I would have answered. Definitely would have gone starting pitcher. But we have a poll question. Now, it started all with this. What coin do you mark your ball with?
Right.
What coin do you use for a scratcher?
That's really how it started.
That's how it started. And you said, well, what coin do you mark a ball with? And I'm like, well, Dave's like, I don't play scratchers. And I'm like, David, I hate to break this to you. Nobody marks their ball with a coin anymore.
Very disappointing.
And a texter on said text line said, what's the smallest valued coin you'd bend over to pick up? That's our winner. Penny, nickel, dime, quarter. Got to be silver for me. I'm not picking up a penny. I'd pick up a nickel.
So you're not one of those in which if it's heads, you pick it up because supposedly that's good luck. And if it's tails, you leave it.
What is this, that see a penny, pick it up, then all day you'll have good luck?
I just, we all have our things. I just didn't know if you believed in that thing.
I don't.
Okay.
But maybe I should start.
So that's
I could use a little luck.
Yeah, we all could, especially with our scratchers. Hello. So that's the poll question.
That's the poll question. Really hard-hitting sports type questions that you love, David.
It'll get great response because of it. We ask a hard-hitting sports question. Whatever.
Did get a Bengals fan who texted that they can end their protest on Heinz products now that the Heinz Field name is no longer.
Wow. Mao, you took that one pretty hard.
I'd like to know what you used for ketchup. You really went Hunt's?
Ugh, I agree. That's quite a man. That's a sacrifice, sir.
A lot of years as a Bengals fan for that too.
Yes, I applaud you actually making that sacrifice. That's a real sacrifice. You can tell the difference in taste. That's a real sacrifice. So that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, I'll retweet it here soon. And floridasportsnetwork.com. That's where you can go. So you said you had a new morning routine today. And so you came in a little later than you normally did. And I was sitting here in semi-darkness, and Felipe was sitting over there in semi-darkness. And then out of nowhere, Felipe jumped up off the chair. And as we've at about 5:38 a.m., and as we've discussed, there's not a lot of noise. There's not a lot of energy involved with this show at 5:38 a.m. And Felipe, ooh, and comes semi-running from his studio over into this one. And he goes, have you seen John Ruiz's new plans for a stadium? And, this was, I thought it was the NBA. He was so excited. So, Felipe, tell us about what the billionaire, who's apparently building an entire university now on the fly, what is he proposing?
Yeah, well, as most of you know already, the Canes, they play in Hard Rock Stadium. That's like 30 minutes away. They want to build a stadium that's closer. So John Ruiz has proposed building site as Tropical Park. Tropical Park is this 275-acre plot of land that's a 7-minute drive away from campus. It's about 20 blocks away. And right now, it has served as kind of a sports complex for Miami-Dade County for a little bit now. A lot of classic high school football games have been played there. There's baseball fields, basketball courts, you name it. But what John Ruiz is proposing is to make it into an entirely super mega modern sports complex with the center of the park featuring a football stadium that is built up, since he mentioned that there will be parking under the stadium.
Parking apparently for 16,000 cars.
Yes.
Now, Mark, this is now getting into more your territory than I think ours in terms of how many people you usually assume are in a car. If you do 2.5 per car, that's in theory, you've got parking for 40,000 people. If you were building a stadium, let's just say money's no object, because with him, he's a billionaire. For the Canes, what size stadium would you build?
60,000.
Okay. All right.
I don't think it needs to be any bigger than that.
No, that's pretty big, actually. That's bigger than I thought you were going to go. Okay.
Well, how much was OB?
OB was 75 to 80.
Okay.
Standing room only and what have you. I mean, the OB packed them in. The OB is bigger than the biggest. Now, Hard Rock's as small as it's ever been. They've taken seats out and what have you. But even Hard Rock, when it was 30 years ago and it was just opened and it was Marlins Park and the Dolphins moved there, it still didn't have as many people in it as the OB used to be able to have in it.
Yeah, the bowl design usually packs in more.
So now I know you've looked it up. I have not seen the stadium design.
All he really has is proposed concept master plan. He's got the existing site plan and his master plan.
Okay.
Shrinking a couple of lakes to add parking there. It's a U-shaped stadium. It's a horseshoe-shaped stadium looking at the lake, which would be very cool.
Well, that's also the OB kind of, had the one end zone that was open. So there you go.
You can see downtown Miami.
But it's the same site as before. All that really has changed from when he announced he wanted to build a stadium is he spent a bunch of money with HKS Architects to design this. He's all excited about, and I have not seen the elevations. As Felipe pointed out, there's going to be parking under the stadium.
I have to admit that concerns me because there's a couple months out of the year in which in Florida we have severe thunderstorms and you can have significant flooding very quickly. And that actually, when I heard it, I know it sounds cool. Maybe I'm showing my age. My first concern was, wow, you could have water up to the bumper of about 3,000 cars.
Kind of what I was thinking too.
I'm like, first couple games of the year, I hope it doesn't rain on those Saturday nights.
Yeah, the phrase building under isn't something I'm particularly familiar with.
But from a space standpoint, if you have to do it, okay, I get it.
And obviously, this is one of the better architectural firms in the world. I'll trust their plans. Here's not to, just douse these hot flames with water.
Okay.
One, he's got to get Coral Gables to even agree to do this.
Right. Well, it's not in Coral Gables.
Oh, it's in Miami where the park is?
It's in South Miami. Or no, it is technically the entrance of Westchester. So no, it's not in Coral Gables, which helps.
Then he's got to get Westchester to agree.
Yes.
That's not easy to take a park and turn it into a football stadium. No matter how much money you have.
Right. No doubt that there are going to be people who object and they're going to say, well, we're losing. We go from 12 fields to 8 or whatever the case may be. So there's no doubt he's going to have to make a lot of people happy here. There's also, I believe, residential housing in and around the park. So, I don't know, like if you live there, is your first reaction to go, oh, wow, this is going to enhance the value of my house? Or is your first reaction going to be, hold on a second, 7 times a year, we're going to have 50,000 people in my backyard?
Yeah, tailgating, all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Although I will say it's 7 times a year.
Right. And the value of your house would significantly increase.
No, it wouldn't.
Yes, it would. Oh my gosh.
Hold on a second. Mark's a real estate agent. Mark?
Okay.
I don't know if it necessarily increases by having a stadium.
I mean, it's the University of Miami.
You know what, Felipe? You're right. It's the University of Miami. Everybody's house will increase tenfold because it's Miami and it's the greatest city in the world and everything they do is better than every other city in the world.
No. But you really don't think it would increase?
No, I don't,
okay.
Felipe.
All right.
I don't know this area, quite frankly. So for me to speak about an area that I know nothing about real estate wise, it makes no sense. But I don't know necessarily. The park increases the value just as much. I don't know if a football stadium on a park increases the value of a home. I don't think there's any homes that are in and around, or anything around Hammond Stadium that, oh my God, they redid the stadium. Your house is worth more money. It's not an enhancement to your neighborhood. It's a deterrent in a lot of ways.
Right. It all depends on your outlook. I mean, many, many years ago, all right, we were pseudo involved in the possibility of the Cubs relocating their spring training from Arizona to Naples. And there were quite a few people that were against the potential building of a spring training stadium, even for the Cubs. And they're definitely apparently the majority of people in Collier County, Florida, who do not want a spring training stadium for any team, because the Braves wanted to move there. There was talk the Toronto Blue Jays wanted to move there. There was talk the Braves and Jays would have a joint complex together, which when you think about it economically, it's Toronto, which is the economic engine of a country, all right, and Atlanta, which has hosted an Olympics and has how many Fortune 500 companies in it? And you would think from a business standpoint that the politicians and the residents of that particular county would have wanted that. And they went, oh, no. Don't want the traffic. Nope. Don't want the extra cars. Nope. Sorry.
See, that's another thing about the area. It's right off the highway. So that exit would be a cluster.
The whole area would be, but it's 7 Saturdays.
Right.
That's the advantage Ruiz has to try to get through the traffic and the congestion and all those things. You're talking about 7 Saturdays.
Now, believe it or not, what could hurt it is when he talks about, and we could have other events there and what have you. And that's where I can see the residents going, no. We need you to tell us it's only going to be 7.
No, if they do build that, they'll definitely have concerts there and whatnot.
We'll see.
I mean, are
they going to get them instead of the Hard Rock, Felipe? The Hard Rock has long-standing relationships. These, you don't just walk in and build a building and everybody comes to you. There's a business model behind that. It's not that easy.
The design looks great. Looks amazing.
So, I mean, he's a billionaire. He's clearly a mover and shaker right now. He's getting things done on behalf of the University of Miami. And I know he's proposed stadiums in the past, but he hasn't, quite frankly, had the standing that he has right now. So I thought it was worth mentioning. Miller and Moulton.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I got to be honest with you. I would have bought Georgiev from the Rangers.
Oh, yeah, Georgia from the Rangers. You got the guy that the Red Wings just got from the Blues,
who signed him
who played a good series against Colorado. I mean, look at
and they signed him to like what,
$3.5 million a year for 3 years, like $11 million.
It's a great deal. People are wondering if Stevie's going to go after somebody, whether it's Goudreau, whether it's Kadri. People are wondering. They're like, he's got the money.
Yeah, just whether or not they think it's more along. Do you want to bring a guy in for a year to teach young guys, or do you want to bring in a guy for a couple when you're ready?
Yeah, but there's thought that, like, particularly with Goudreau, like even if you pick him up a year early,
right?
That in theory, okay, now let's just say 2023 goes really well. Okay, but then now what do we need to like get and compete with? Well, we're probably going to need, and I will say, you know what it reminds me of? It's when the Rangers picked up Panarin. And you're like, it's an interesting move because they ain't ready to compete.
Did you see Herschel Walker?
Oh, my God. And he may win.
Well, that's the scary part.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Which, I've got to be frank here. If you're John Stewart or if you're Bill Maher and they're pressure, it's like, why wouldn't you run? And I'm being serious.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're watching the polling of how badly every single anybody on each side looks. So that was something. It's got to be your error. I think you can mismatch that up with Chris Farley talking about the bull in the head and the Tommy boy, and I think you got a pretty good bit right there.
Here we go. What was our poll result yesterday?
Is it the Norman one?
Yeah.
Gotta find it. $72.28, yes.
Here we go.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes after the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Our poll question today, and it was sent in by a longtime friend of the show, Mark. Texted me late yesterday afternoon. It wasn't exactly this question, but it was the genesis. What is the smallest value coin you would bend over to pick up? That's our poll question. He wanted to know what coin would you use on a scratch off. We said,
But you don't do scratchers.
Yeah. I said, we might change this, but I appreciate the effort. So what's the smallest value coin you would bend over to pick up? Obviously, penny, nickel, dime, quarter, 4 choices. And
I need silver, David. Give me nickel.
I said penny as long as it's heads up, because that's supposedly good luck.
How's that worked for you, picking up those heads up pennies?
Well, I mean, I'm still here.
Right.
I mean,
your luck's pretty good.
If you set the bar low enough, Mark, you can convince yourself it's worked for you.
I've heard that. Small victories, right?
Right. So I have to admit, from now on, when I'm bending down to pick up the heads up penny, I'm going to try to set the bar a little higher and see whether or not there's a little something going on there. But I am curious, what was our response to the poll question yesterday?
72% thought Norman should have been invited to the dinner.
And you know who else voted the same way in our poll question yesterday?
Jack Nicklaus.
He did. Without taking on the RNA, he clearly said the RNA was wrong. When asked about it yesterday, the golfing legend said, and I quote, "Greg Norman is an icon in the game of golf. He's a great player." Now, we don't see eye to eye with what's going on right now, and I'll just leave it at that. But Greg is a friend, and he will remain a friend, and he's a great player. That's what Jack had to say. An icon in the game of golf, according to Jack Nicklaus, Greg Norman. And Jack can appreciate the golf on the world stage because Jack has traveled the world many times over, not just to play golf, but to build golf courses. Jack understands what golfers are really popular where and their significant input. Jack played in Australia in the mid and late 70s and into the 80s. He has an appreciation of Asian golf and Australian golf, his friendship with Gary Player in South African golf. He has an appreciation for it. Built courses, I think, on every continent that you can build a course, he has built one on. And so his comments yesterday, I thought, were a takedown of the RNA. Like, you guys screwed up.
Yeah, and Tiger did not. Tiger said something to the effect of he understood why the RNA did it.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Listen, Tiger, Derek Jeter and Tiger Woods have been the same guy publicly in terms of their speaking. They don't say anything. They are not willing to take on anything. Nope. They're all for the status quo, wherever they are.
And I'm not surprised by that, but just you brought up what Jack said. I think it's worthy. Yesterday we saw the great picture on the iconic bridge at St. Andrews with Jack and Tiger. Well, that's what Jack said. That's what Tiger said.
Mm-hmm.
And very different what the two said.
No doubt.
About the subject. And, one's still obviously a bigger part of the game than the other.
Here's a question. Jack is in St. Andrews not for the celebration of champions and not for the 150th Open Championship. Jack said he is there because today he's being named an honorary citizen of St. Andrews. And when he realized that only 2 other Americans have ever been bestowed with that honor. By the way, could you guess the 2? And maybe you've looked it up and you know.
I haven't. Are they? Is it in a golf world?
One's a golfer, one's not.
So Arnie.
No.
Oh.
Think about that. Not Arnie. Now, Jack won twice at St. Andrews. I don't believe Arnie won either of his
Bobby
opens.
Jones?
Yes. Bobby Jones, who was the second American given the honorary citizenship honor by St. Andrews. Benjamin Franklin.
Whoa.
Exactly. And that's basically what Jack said. Jack goes, when I found out, that they haven't given out 20 of these. They haven't given out 50 of these. They gave it out to Ben Franklin and Bobby Jones.
Not joking. That made the hair on my arm stand up.
Yeah. And so Jack said to Barbara, we got to go.
Yeah.
Jack hadn't been back since he retired in 2005. He had been invited back numerous times, but he said, I thought it would have lessened everything that was said and done for me and to me in 2005. And that's why I didn't go back. He said, and he all but said yesterday, I would not have come here just to celebrate the history of the Open. I'm sorry, 82 years old, and I pick my spots and that sort of deal. But when they're making me an honorary citizen, and it made me think, will they do the same for Tiger in 30 years? First off, let's just hope that Tiger has good health and could live. Jack's 82. Tiger's 46. So, because Jack won, it's remarkable. He, quote, only won the British Open 3 times. And I say that because he finished in the top 6 in the British Open 15 consecutive years, but quote unquote only won it 3 times. But 2 of his wins were at St. Andrews in 70 and 78. Tiger, 3 Open championships, 2 of them at St. Andrews in 2000 and 2005. And so you wonder if they gave it to Jack 30 years from now, let's just say Tiger, thankfully, good health, the whole deal, and they're sitting around. Do you think they would, around 2050, say, when Tiger's 74, do you think that they'll offer the same honorary citizenship to Tiger?
Yes. And think about what Tiger's answer was about Norman. Think about how Tiger has, you looked at me and smiled, but come on now. I think supporting the RNA is going to be a part of that. Now, Jack's at the point 82 where he can say whatever the hell he wants.
Yes, he can.
About anything.
Yes, he can.
Those are the rules.
Now, remember, the RNA is not, and Jack even made sure to say that. He goes, I'm not getting this from the RNA. I'm getting it from the whatever, St. Andrews.
I got you, but don't you kind of assume that those two are in lockstep with damn near everything?
Home of golf, right. And the RNA feels they're in charge of what? The sport of golf.
So I would think that one would have a little bit to do with the other, but I do think that, Tiger Woods won, assuming he carries on for 30 years with health, he's going to be involved in the golf world and still be doing things, for the sport. So I think with that portion, I think absolutely they would do this for Tiger. Do you agree?
My gut feeling is no, because I don't know that Tiger has had the impact on the sport that Jack has had over there. I mean, we joke the late Peter Allis, but late in Jack's career, Peter Allis, when Jack was still playing, Peter Allis would just simply, they referred to him over there as the great man. And they meant it. I mean, he was a god to them. And I don't know if they feel the same way about Tiger. I don't. So my gut answer is no right now. 30 years could change.
Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan still coming up on the show, as well as Todd Bodine.
Rob Weaver, next. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Okay. Bud's all in
Oh, good.
for not just Thursday, but
For the season?
Wednesdays.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he said to us each of the last 2 years, he goes, he says, I believe it or not, I don't do a ton of these, and I'm doing less and less because I can tell that the hosts basically are just using me to fill time. And he goes, and I've always felt that you guys have actually appreciated what I had to say. And that
I think he's fucking brilliant.
And that you like having me on and blah, 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 blah. And I go, well, hell, you know that. I go, when you lived down here, I said, I said, we sought you out. I said, I took you to lunch and then, we wanted you on the show. He goes, yeah. He goes, I felt it. He said, I really only do like 3 of these things. He goes, everything else, I produce my own material and, you want me, you got to subscribe to us and blah, blah, blah. I said, well, great. Super Joe, I do think you're right. I go, if the miracle were to happen this week, yeah, I Hey, when you book him, remember, ask him, is he familiar, with the Ruiz Stadium thing, and give us 2 thumbs up if he is. If he's not, don't.
Saw something yesterday, and I wish I had it in front of me, where somebody was putting value on like Oregon and Washington, and he put a value of Oregon at like what they're at, or of their athletic departments. It's like $40 million.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Our poll question today. So, what value coin will you bend down to pick up? Penny, nickel, dime, quarter. I'm a penny if it's heads up. It's good luck.
I need a nickel.
You need silver?
I need silver.
That's our poll question at floridasportsnetwork.com. Always hard hitting. Pat Kirwan at the top of the hour to talk all things NFL. Rob Weaver's kind enough to join us right now. He's a contributor to stateoftheu.com, stateoftheu.com, which is part of the SB Nation blog network. You can follow Rob on Twitter at Patent Weaver. Patent Weaver. Rob, it's David and Mark. We thank you for your time, particularly at this hour. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning, gentlemen.
We're big fans of original thinkers. And your column, your idea that the Canes maybe should consider going back to being independent. All right. We appreciated the effort. We like the thought. Explain to our audience why it is you're thinking, if the choice is to stay in the ACC or go independent, I might go independent.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate saying that maybe the idea isn't completely asinine. I think that there are really 3 buckets of things that any school in Miami's position or USC's position or whatever is probably considering as to making this sort of decision. Bucket 1 is the schedule. What does it look like? Can a new world, being independent in the Big Ten, whatever, can they have a path to winning major accomplishments, most particularly the national championship, right? Can they get into a playoff? Can they have a competitive schedule? Bucket 2 is money. Money is probably what talks. That's probably the biggest bucket. And then I'd say bucket 3, there's this miscellaneous other bucket that I would call flexibility. Right, particularly in a world where we don't know how strong NCAA governance is going to be. NIL is going to be more important. You have Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban publicly bickering with each other about each other's NIL efforts. I think in the future, conferences are going to become much more involved in regulating that sort of stuff, and Miami could be free from all that. They're not going to have to listen to what Nick Saban thinks of what they do in the NIL, or they could just ignore it if they're independent. So we'll put that into bucket 3, and I think each bucket looks pretty good when you think about radical possibilities of like signing on with a streaming provider like Amazon or Apple or whatever. I think you could really do something revolutionary in terms of the media rights you get from that. And the scheduling, I think, will work itself out. I think you could still put together a pretty strong schedule that would get you in consideration for a 6, 8, or 12-team playoff.
All right. It is bold to say the very least. Does Miami have the leadership, not just in athletics, but because you're going to do this, it seems to me you'd have to hire a whole new staff because this is now negotiating your own deals, things you rely upon a conference for. Would Miami be prepared to do something like this?
I think they're as prepared as they've ever been. I mean, they certainly opened up the coin purse to bring in the most expensive coaching staff in its history. So I think that, look, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be this program's administration, right? I have to think that before, and I guess that's the point of the article, right, is before you jump ship and pay what is a potential whopping ACC exit fee, I think that you at least have to look at these possibilities. You know, Apple paid MLS $2.5 billion over 10 years, which is just unheard of for MLS games. Miami Hurricanes draw about 6 times the number of viewers for their average game than any average MLS game. And so, you know, there's a lot of money. TV providers are willing to way overspend on these sorts of things right now. They're really trying to enter the market, Apple and Amazon and whatnot. And if there's any time to at least look at the possibilities, I think now's probably the time.
Rob Weaver, a contributor to stateoftheu.com, which is part of the SB Nation blog network. And he wrote a piece in the last 48 hours saying, you know, Miami, believe it or not, might want to consider going back to life in the pursuit of happiness and how they had it 20 years ago, which was independent in football and then part of a conference and everything else. And Rob, your suggestion is to go back for everything else to the Big East, right?
Yeah, you got to park the basketball and non-revenue sports somewhere. There's a natural marriage there. They're very like-minded schools, with the exception of UConn. They're all private institutions. They're all geographically fairly close. The furthest away is Creighton and Omaha, which hopefully our baseball team can start visiting a little more often anyways. And so, you know, there's a familiarity there. And I think there's something to be said for Miami joining a conference that it has a little bit more influence in. You know, in the SEC and the Big Ten, they're just going to be another big fish in a pond full of big fish. So I think there's some attractiveness there. You know, there's a strong basketball basketball conferences, arguably stronger than the ACC of late. So there's always a path to March Madness, and that's kind of the key to getting good revenue out of your non-football sports anyway. So I think there's a lot of things to like about putting the rest of the sports in the Big East.
Rob, if the ACC stands pat, do you think financially Miami can get to where they want to be with the current ACC, with where the Big Ten and the SEC are going? If Miami just is forced to stand pat, Notre Dame stays where they are, financially, can Miami get to where it is you're expecting them to, which is competing for national championships?
Do I think I can get?
Do you think they can get their state in the ACC?
But being competitive for national championships
yes.
in the ACC? Yeah, I think they can. You know, I mean, Clemson certainly has. You have to run the table. You're going to get the benefit of the doubt playing out that you would otherwise playing out of the Big Ten or certainly the SEC. You know, you pretty much have to run the table. If you run the table, then yeah, you can get into a 14 playoff. A little hard to say because I do think they're probably going to expand that. It's completely unknown what that word's going to look like. A 12-team playoff, they could definitely get in the ACC, but again, that's only part of the equation. I think money talks.
You know, we almost wonder if the ACC, so here's the strength of it. Contractually, teams don't know if they can get out without having to financially just damn near go bankrupt. But here's the problem.
Correct.
by staying in the ACC, if SEC schools are going to be making 75, 80 million a year, and Big Ten schools are potentially going to be making 100 million a year in television revenue, staying in the ACC is only going to garner you 34 million a year for 15 more years. If you're giving up 40 to 70 million a year to those two conferences for 15 years, I mean, it's not bankrupt, but in a way it will feel like it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So the ACC, the exit fee is draconian almost. It requires, the grant of media rights requires probably a penalty that's the equivalent of what they would have made with the ACC for the entire rest of the deal. So at 30-something million a year, we're talking almost $500 million, right? Now, there's a lot of assumptions with that. It presumes, for instance, that you can't have some sort of workaround, not working with traditional media partners and working with online streaming providers, right? It also presumes that the ACC still exists, or that the ESPN wouldn't want to renegotiate what the TV rights deal looks like if there's a mass exodus of Miami and Florida State and Clemson and whatever doing their own thing. But even taking those variables aside, there's going to be a tipping point, right? There's going to be a tipping point where if you're making twice as much in a different world, be it independent, Big Ten, SEC, whatever, it's going to be financially irresponsible to stay with that sinking ship and not look at greener pastures, because you're just leaving money on the table if it's more than double the option elsewhere.
Rob, thanks for your time. We appreciated the story from afar, and hopefully we can do this again.
Yeah, I'm glad you found it entertaining, and thanks for having me.
Rob Weaver, contributor to stateoftheu.com, stateoftheu.com, wrote an interesting piece, at least we felt so, about, believe it or not, with all the possibilities that are out there, the SEC and Big Ten seem obvious, you'd make so much more money, you would go. But if the choice is hanging tight in the ACC, would you actually be better off breaking away and doing your own thing, a la Notre Dame?
And his thought is that your exit fee from the ACC would be a lot less going the independent route than it would be going to another conference, where they're going to try to hold you to not just the $50+ million exit fee, but the rights fee as well.
And very quickly, if you're getting 34 million from the ACC. And so the first thing you have to do is go, well, I got to make at least 35 million if I'm going to do this. And he says, well, currently schools in the Big East get 5 million a year. Their TV deal's up in 2025. And the expectation is that's going to at least double. So now that's 10 million. So now you on your own have to come up with $24 million. Could you, if you're Miami, make a side deal for your football program with, whether it's Turner, whether it's with a streaming service? Could you get $25 million? And you heard him say, well, the MLS is getting this. Well, Miami football would garner significantly better ratings, granted only 12 games. The other thing that he threw in there, which I thought was fascinating, Conference Championship Saturday, first Saturday in December, he said, there's no reason we couldn't play Notre Dame every year. They're not in a conference championship game. Every other year they finish with USC Thanksgiving weekend. My guess is that'll change in a couple of years when USC joins the Big Ten. But I mean, his argument was, if you're Notre Dame, rekindle this thing with Miami. That's sexy. Your TV partners will love it. Miami would love it. Do a little. That's how we're going to end our year.
Can I ask you a simple question on this one?
Mm-hmm.
Because media rights deals way better than I ever will. Right now, you get $4.6 million for a Big East. That's your share in the Big East.
Right.
Do you really believe that will double?
Yes, I really do. TV networks they're Mark, as much mocking as we're doing of NBA salaries, that's TV networks right now with rights fees. They just,
even though people aren't watching, because nobody watches. I'm not trying to offend Big East basketball fan or John Fant if you happen to be in our listening audience today. you're a great friend of the show. But Big East, this is not 1982.
I understand. I do. You know I do.
Right.
Even though I grew up in Big East country and all that, you know I understand. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Does the Big East to you have value? Because in that world, that's right where all the media companies are headquartered. Does that make it more valuable?
It's just a what war between Fox and ESPN. That's all it is. And the Big East is like, oh, great, we're in the middle of it.
So
and
you got the right time. I mean, at the end of the day, your
November through March. There you go.
Well, and your contract's coming up in 2025.
Exactly.
I mean, the timing of it could not be any better.
Right. Think about it. If ESPN gets squeezed out of the Big Ten deal, which is possible, I think, this is my prediction, ESPN's only relationship with the Big Ten going forward is going to be basketball. Because CBS has not had any football relationship with the Big Ten, and yet has had a relationship with the Big Ten for 30 plus years because they televise Big Ten basketball on the weekends. And I think that that's ESPN's only relationship going forward with the Big Ten, that they're going to get a couple days a week. They can show a couple of Big Ten games. That's it. And that's only if Fox is willing to let the Big Ten sign that deal with ESPN. So it's possible that ESPN could lose all of the Big Ten. And the Big East will be sitting there, which currently has a deal with Fox. And then you got ESPN looking at the Big East going, we'll give you double what Fox is. By the way, you cut them out totally. Okay? Just your Big East is on ESPN. The Connecticut network, not the LA network. Because, ESPN, $10 million a year per team times whatever. $100 million a year to ESPN. Honestly, that's lunch money to ESPN these days. So yeah, I do think that each team is going to get double what they were getting simply because those two networks are at war. And then you get the streaming services, which just desperately want sports programming. And if you think it's lunch money to ESPN, it's coins in the water on the pavement to the streaming companies.
Is it a penny, a nickel, a dime, or a quarter?
It is. And you know what? If we were John Fanta and we were streaming a show on the Big East streaming channel, that would be our poll question. To Amazon, okay, what are the broadcast rights fees for the Big East? A penny, a nickel, a dime, or a quarter?
Probably a penny.
Yes.
Probably a penny. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kirwan coming on the other side to talk a little National Football League right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Oh, come on. Why do you do that to me? Oh, there it is. Okay. Shane Bacon tweeted out 16 minutes ago a tweet from Max Homa that he sent on June 4th, 2013. At Tiger Woods, just won Pac-12's NCAA championship and qualified for the U.S. Open. Any chance I can get a practice round with you? Question mark, #hero. Tee times came up for the Open. Homa's playing with Tiger.
We could do the short segment on the tee times.
That's what I was going to say.
Right.
Yeah.
Who else is in the threesome?
Fitzpatrick.
Number 8.
Paul Lowry gets the 1:35 a.m. starting tee time. 6:35 a.m. Jesus.
23 years. 23 years, Paul Lowry.
Put Daly with DeChambeau. Just want to see who DJ's playing with because they didn't have it in the. Why would they put that in the tee times that matter? Dustin Johnson, Adam Scott, Mark Leishman. Okay, there it is.
Hmm.
10 hours of tee times. The last tee time, Eastern, is at 11:16 a.m. And the first one is at 1:35 a.m.
So they go 9:40 tee times?
Yeah. Every 11 minutes.
Did you see this catch?
Yeah, saw it last night. Saw it live. Fuck.
Golly. That hurts. I don't care. He's walking that baby off back to his spot. Did you see him there?
Oh yeah, all the way back, the way back to the dugout over the inning. You're not feeling.
Man. That's that check into the boards and you skate back to the bench. You sit there and the next two shifts that you're just breathing it off.
By the way, there it is. Lead story. Durant to the Heat. That's what they're starting with today. Because it's not Durant to the Warriors. That was yesterday.
Right.
And Lamar snubbed by an article that we did so we could create content for ourselves. 2 days in a row they've done that.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Hour 3 of Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan from Moving the Chains will join us momentarily. Once again, our poll question, very hard-hitting. So when you see a coin on the ground, does it have to be a certain kind of coin for you to bend down and pick it up? And if so, what monetary value does it have to have?
By the way, our audience is either really cheap or really rich because no one's interested. It's either penny or quarter.
No one's interested in a dime?
No. 40% of you are picking up pennies, 44% of you are picking up quarters. The rest of you are scrapping for the loose change.
Whatever. So for the record, I pick up pennies, particularly if they're heads up. It's good luck.
I need some good luck. I'm going to be looking for pennies the rest of the day.
Mark, however, apparently only picks up silver. So his vote was nickel. All right, go to floridasportsnetwork.com. Pat Kirwan, Moving the Chains, weekday afternoons on NFL Radio. His weekly appearance is brought to us courtesy of Pinchers from Tampa to Key West with a dozen locations in between. Pinchers, because you can't fake fresh. How are you?
I'm doing fine, fellas. I pick up all my money, and I use them as ball markers. If they're copper color, they're perfect ball markers.
Easier to move those copper ones. Pat, I was saying that because David doesn't play golf much anymore. In your group, how often coins aren't used anymore for ball markers? They're using hubcaps for crying out loud. You know, these poker chips. Everybody seems to have their own collectible item.
Yeah, I tell guys, you got a poker chip down and I hit that, I'm taking a reshot. Get that big thing off the green.
Man, to me, that would be like a manhole cover on the green. It's
what
like,
it looks like.
Move that sucker.
No, inappropriate putting that out there.
Hey, listen, when you were taking calls yesterday afternoon, were Steeler fans okay with it no longer being Heinz Field? I mean, I know you don't follow this, but Pat, for 2-3 months, Laker fans and really citizens of Los Angeles apparently could not emotionally handle the fact that where the Lakers played was no longer called Staples Center. It was named after, I don't know what. All right. Are Steelers fans going to be okay with it no longer being Heinz Field?
No. Pittsburgh is a really traditional place, and Heinz ketchup signs are everywhere. They call it the big ketchup bottle, Heinz Field. Yeah, they're going to call it Heinz Field. And as one caller said, well, now they're getting free advertising because they don't have to pay for it anymore, and people will still call it Heinz Field.
All right, Pat, this is the dead time. So what is it that's on your mind as you get ready? Training camp's open here in about 3-4 weeks before everybody's in camp. What is it you're gearing down on right now?
Well, lots of things in the world of insanity football, but the franchise tag, we got 4 guys, don't have deals. We have till Friday to get a deal. The clock ticking usually helps get 1 or 2, but it's complicated because once you tag a player, he no longer thinks of his value any less than that. In fact, his agent immediately goes to what 2 franchise tags look like, and Orlando Brown's a good example. His agent's already said, okay, look, it's 16 and change, and then they're going to tag you again next year. So they already know they're in it for $34.5 million. It's called $35 million. So now that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with that as a starting number. And if you want years, you're going to have to pay. So that's where this thing goes. And those 4 guys, I'm wondering if any of them get a deal in time. You know, the Bengals, I wish the Bengals would just get Jesse Bates back in the field. Bad sign in Cincinnati if you can't keep that team together that got to a Super Bowl. So the 2 tight ends, their problem is they want to be treated like wide receivers. Now, they've already lost many times trying to identify themselves as wide receivers, or outside linebackers want to be paid, like defensive ends, but that money kind of balanced up. So those tight ends think that cheap tag of $10.9 million isn't really me. The receivers are making 18, so let's split the difference. That's that conversation. So those things are on my mind, and we got a couple of days. From now till Friday usually is when something will get done. I'd say one of the four gets a contract.
Pat, we've got 2 weeks till training camps basically open for veterans. Do you think there will be a decent number of veterans who are sitting home that will get signed in the next 2 weeks? Or do you think that teams have made the decision, we're going to start camp, we're going to give it 2 weeks of practice and maybe a preseason game or two before we call that veteran who's sitting home on his couch and have to pay him $3 or $4 million? What do you think happens? Signings in the next 2 weeks, or no, somebody's got to get hurt first?
Well, someone might get hurt between now and the start of camp, so that would fit your definition of why I would sign one. Some of the guys that are home are home because they've turned down offers, and the clubs don't want to pay more than they said they were going to pay, so they're home for contractual reasons. Some are home because no one thinks they're good enough. Most of the clubs met right at the end of the OTAs and decided where they needed more help. And I'm in the middle of doing pass rushers, so there's a couple teams that are hurting for a third pass rusher. I would think that you're not going to see many signings in the next 2 weeks, unless they're for the minimum wage. Those guys who panic now and say, if I don't go to camp, I'm not going to make a team, they'll take a minimum deal. So you might get a couple of those, but I think most guys will try to go to camp. And I don't think they're going to be in camp very long before they start bringing guys in. I did that. And, you go to camp 2-3 days in pads and you go, yeah, you know what? We got to get another guy in here. So that happens all the time. Or your trainer and doctor say he won't be available for the next 3 weeks. Well, and, Belichick, here's another guy. He likes to put a lot of guys on PUP and then bring them off slowly, 1 or 2 a day. But I'll go up there the first day of practice, they'll have 8 guys on PUP, and that kind of opens up an opportunity for him to bring in some camp body guy. But no, I don't think it's going to be a lot of action, David.
All right. Baker Mayfield has finally moved on. He is a Carolina Panther. Is he the starter from day one?
I think he'll win the job. They'll act like there's a competition. They got 18.8 tied up in Sam. They can't just take him off the field. But I think, and Baker still has to learn the whole offense and all that business. So it'll start out as a competition. But neither one of these guys can play unless they get a lot of reps. So they're going to have to make the decision fairly quickly, maybe after the first preseason game, and shift all or most of the reps to the guy they want, which I believe will be Baker.
Dwayne Brown was in the news the other day because he got arrested at LAX and he had a gun on him. My question is, why is Dwayne Brown unsigned? I mean, he was a replacement into the Pro Bowl last year. He's graded out the last 4 years as one of the top 7 or 8 tackles in the league. And I understand he's older and his knees are cranky, but he hasn't missed a game the last 2 years, Pat. I mean, that's not just a starting left tackle. That's a plug and play top 10 left tackle, even at 37. Why is he not signed?
Because of money only. He wants to be paid just like you described him. And if, he thinks of himself just like you described him. And he looks at deals and goes, why not me? Why am I not being paid like Trent Williams and Tyron Smith? And I guarantee you he's telling everyone, I'm better than Bakhtiari. I'm on the field. And I'm better than Taylor Lewan because I don't, lose my mind getting emotionally crazy. He probably would like something like the Teron Armstead deal. And so, it's age. It's now he's got an issue off the field. But it's money. It's flat out money. And he is one of those guys who thinks he did it. Remember, he held out in Houston until they finally traded him to Seattle. He's one of those guys. He might just sit there and say, you know what? I know that Trent Williams, Smith, Bakhtiari, Lewan, Bowles, someone's going down with an injury. And then I don't think anyone's offered him even, what Laramie Tunsil got. But he's going to say, no, I'll wait. I waited before and got rewarded. I'll wait again. And he knows a team, let's say the left tackle in Tampa goes down. When you have a quarterback or Indianapolis, any quarterback that throws to the midline, doesn't run very much, needs a left tackle, those kind of guys, if they lose their left tackle, they'll be calling Brown, and they'll be and they're going to have to pay. That's how he looks at it.
Is it the same thing essentially at the quarterback position with Jimmy G? Is that what we're waiting for? Someone to get hurt? I mean, why? There's been talks that a couple of teams have talked about Jimmy G. One I don't believe at all. The other one I haven't got into as much. But is this just a waiting game as well, Pat?
He's not. No, he's not able to demonstrate he's healthy. He's getting close to that, but he's not there yet. And you trade him today, and he fails that team's physical, he's going to go back to you. So that's part of it. And I think compensation. They always claim they had 2-2s available to them for Jimmy. I don't believe that now. You got to think that some of the teams that were talking to Lynch and using things like 2-2s might have already solved their quarterback situation either in the draft or in Carolina with getting Baker. So you just don't know that the 2-2s are still on the table. And people always wonder about that whole Seattle thing. We all know the other guys that did move on in division. But here's my question to you guys, or I would say, hey, San Francisco, you don't want to play the guy anymore. You want to replace him with an unproven second-year player, which is fine, except you keep telling everyone you're a Super Bowl contender. So if you're not afraid to bench Jimmy, then why are you afraid to play against him?
Pat, 30 seconds. Robert Quinn. He's 32. He had 18 sacks. He's got $13 million salary, not guaranteed. All right. Why has he not been traded? And why is the team, 30 seconds, not been willing to give up a first or second round pick for him? He's a difference maker.
Every other year, David, go check his history. He'll have 10 sacks, then 2 sacks, then 12 sacks, then 5 sacks. And he's 32. Now, Kansas City needs him. I just got done doing their pass rush. Not good, especially for a team that's going to have to lead a lot, and their opponents are going to be trying to play catch-up. You need a guy like that. So, and if I'm Chicago, just admit you're in a rebuild. You're not going to win many more games because you have them. What's the difference between 5 wins and 7 wins? Nothing. Just go get what you can for them. And I don't think they're going to get a 1 for them. I think more like a 2 or a 3 that turns into a 2. One of those deals.
Pat, thanks for joining us once again. All right, we'll talk to you next week.
Very good. Thanks, fellas. Enjoy your week.
Pat Kirwan's moving the chains weekday afternoons on NFL Radio, and he joins us courtesy of Pinchers.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. FLGolfCarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
They got a picture of Zach Wilson at BYU when he must have thrown a pick.
Mm-hmm.
The quote is, all the dads in the neighborhood when Zach Wilson comes home to see his mom's friends, and it's the one guy blocking him, the second guy comes blocking him.
That was the Coastal Carolina game, yeah.
Ooh, there was some goring that happened yesterday. The Bulls got it.
They got a guy's leg. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, the Bulls went bull.
Right. No, Bulls had a good day yesterday.
Oh, he has just got this guy hard. Oh. '70s sports. Got a picture of Lawrence Welk. A 1 and a 2 and a fuck you. This is the only TV in the house and your parents love me.
Got that right. Canada relief. I hope you're entertaining yourself. Because those are like some bad dad jokes.
Oh, there's your picture. Lee needs to do a better job with the hat.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Todd Bodine will join us in a little less than 20 minutes. We'll get into the whole Ross Chastain, Denny Hamlin situation. And as a racer, how does that get resolved? Todd Bodine of Fox to join us in a little less than 20 minutes' time. Poll question, floridasportsnetwork.com. So what's the value of the coin that you will bend down and pick up? Will you bend down and pick up a penny? Or does it have to be a nickel? Does it have to be a dime or a quarter?
Apparently, our audience, it's either a penny or a quarter.
Huh.
I did like the guy that says nothing less a quarter for me, but it doesn't mean I won't make my kids pick up the others.
How about those that, like, I will say this is how superstitious I can be at times. I will pick.
No.
I'm admitting it. You know, I believe in the golfing gods, the sports gods. You know, I'm superstitious. So here's the deal. You bend down and pick up the coin, the penny that's heads up. I keep it. It's good luck. But I will bend down and pick up the penny that's tails. But then usually I'm going into a place of business, a convenience store, a grocery store or something. And just about everybody's got a charity thing of some kind. And then I will put that penny in the charity thing. I won't keep it.
You won't keep the bad luck penny, but you penny.
Right.
Jeez, what did you just do to me? The bad luck penny will go to charity.
Correct.
Okay.
Because they're just adding up dollars and cents. They don't care.
Weren't you the one that was saying that the part of the reason or charities were panicking over if pennies were eliminated?
Yes. Charities feel that they will lose a lot of money if we get rid of the penny. I don't believe so.
I don't either. I think people would just give nickels and dimes.
Yes. Yes. I think anything less than a quarter people view as just, oh, yeah, here, dump this in.
So I'm going to read you a tweet, David. It's from June 4th, 2013.
Damn.
And it was a little after midnight, so he was probably feeling it. Max Homa tweeted at Tiger Woods just after midnight, nearly a little over 9 years ago. Tiger just won Pac-12's NCAA championship and qualified for the U.S. Open. Any chance I can get a practice round with you? #hero. Well, the tee times for the Open Championship have just come out. And Max Homa finally gets to play with Tiger. They're off at just before 10 o'clock Thursday morning Eastern time.
So he gets to play with Tiger at St. Andrews in the 150th Open Championship.
That's pretty cool.
I wonder if he'll handle it well.
That's the first thing I thought. Because he's going into this tournament with expectations of winning this golf tournament.
Yeah, I think he's a contender. That may be a little strong for most, but I think he's a contender.
Not sure. Wouldn't be, but this is a tournament that has produced strange champions from time to time. You always have, particularly Thursday and Friday, there's always a name or two on this leaderboard that we are not expecting.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Who gets the ceremonial first tee shot?
Looks as if Paul Lawrie is going to be off first at 6:35 a.m. St. Andrews time.
Wow. How about that?
Paul Lawrie, Webb Simpson, and Minwoo Lee are the first group off at 6:35 a.m. St. Andrews time. That is 1:35 Eastern time. Last tee time.
By the way, that'll be on Peacock. Just so you know, 1:30 to 4 a.m. Thursday, Friday. Peacock, 4 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern, USA.
Lars Van Meegel, Jack Floyd, and Ronan Malarney will tee off at 4:16 p.m. St. Andrews time.
So that's 11:16 our time, right?
Yes.
So that's the last group?
That is the last group.
That sounds like the last group at a club across the pond. I mean, read those three names again. Listen, are we taking one more tee time? Yeah, we're going to fit in this threesome of
Meegel, Floyd, and Malarney. So that is just, I mean, that is nearly 10 hours of tee times.
Yeah, that's called a full field event right there.
Long day for the pro shop.
The longtime guy's not doing the first tee. The guy who had the really,
Tiger Woods.
Tiger Woods. That nasally guy.
Is he?
I thought he's done.
Is he done?
I thought he's done. We're getting somebody else.
That's disappointing.
Could be wrong. I thought they made a big deal about that a year or so ago. I mean, you would think he'd stick around for 150th, right? But I thought he's done.
So that just, to me, I thought that was cool. The
All right.
Max Homa story. One other little story I wanted to get to, because I know we've got Todd Bodine coming up. Did you see the hire that Auburn made yesterday?
No, for what sport?
Football. They hired a Dallas Cowboys scout as their general manager, director of scouting and development. That's a title for a college football program.
Wait, hold on a second. What's
Fabianich, I believe is his last name, Drew Fabianich.
Okay.
Will serve a new role as the program's general manager and director of football scouting and development. 2 decades of experience in the NFL.
Okay. What's he going to do again?
He's the director of football scouting and development. I mean, free agency has taken over college football. Someone's got to be the director of scouting and development. One of the more unusual titles that I've ever heard. And I saw it yesterday, and people weren't as shocked about it. They were more like, we're going to see more of this NFL to the NCAA.
Well, you know why? They're going to get paid better. You just saw it in college baseball a few weeks ago when the Minnesota Twins pitching coach. Now, granted, he was an interesting hire to begin with because they hired him from college. I believe they hired him directly from Arkansas. So he does 3 years with the Twins. He's doing a good job. The pitchers really liked him. A couple of guys were emotional when he announced he was leaving 2 weeks ago for LSU. And he was getting a 6-figure raise, and the first digit was crooked. That's how much more money he was getting from LSU than the Minnesota Twins. And we could argue about lifestyle and which one is better, length of season, etc. I will say this. Obviously, I don't know this former Cowboy scout, but the guy at Auburn may not be long for Auburn.
You have them finishing last on their side, right?
I definitely think they're the worst team in the West. And he, remember, lost out last year. They blew the Alabama game that they had won. The kid didn't stay in bounds. And they finished, and I think they lost their bowl game. And I think he went from 6-2 to 6-7. And he's not a warm and fuzzy guy. Remember, there were a lot of rumors that they were going to get rid of him around signing day. So it's interesting that of all the places that you would hitch your wagon to in college, that you would do it at Auburn. Because, I mean, the Lane Kiffin to Auburn rumors are loud.
But I just found it fascinating that a longtime scout, and I know part of it's money, but I also think part of it is the changing atmosphere of what a college football room looks like. With the transfer portal, you're going to have someone that's a little more in tune with what's going on in the whole business. And that's what I think they're doing. They're putting someone in charge of scouting.
So you mean they're professionalizing college football?
Just a little bit.
Wow. Todd Bodine, next.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So I always open up Pro Football Talk before we have Pat on it. It says Ben Roethlisberger, home will always be Heinz Field. If I were the Steelers, I'd be calling him and going, we've paid you a lot of money. You might want to just shut up.
Trenton, Jeff Bodine got involved because he's from the southern tier of New York, and Randy Will made the U.S. Olympic bobsled team, I believe in 92, with Herschel Walker as his teammate. And Randy Will was from the southern tier of New York, and Jeff Bodine's from the southern tier of New York, and the whole racing angle, and they became friends, and it got Jeff Bodine fascinated in bobsledding because the just dynamics of a car and a sled. And so Jeff Bodine invested in USA Bobsled because of it.
No, I ain't heard of that. I hit the beach in the furry hat. She got a guy, but she purring.
Okay.
Looking like
Felipe?
We have a guest.
Yes, I know.
Well,
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 22 minutes for the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Mark, I mentioned earlier in the show, this is a thrill for me. I covered his Winston Cup debut 30 years ago at Watkins Glen. Todd Bodine, two-time Truck Series champion, part of the NASCAR on Fox coverage. Follow Todd on Twitter at team_onion, team_onion. Todd, it's David and Mark. Thanks for your time. How are you?
I was doing really good till you reminded me it was 30 years ago that I had my Winston Cup debut. Holy cow, that's forever ago.
Well, hey, I was there too. So, I don't know. I'm proud of it. I covered your whole family in, the Poconos and Watkins Glen and what have you. You guys are a big deal at Watkins Glen. That's like Chase Elliott winning in Atlanta. You guys own the Glen.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely home. We're very proud to be from upstate New York and New Yorkers, and it was really cool. Yeah, I'll tell you what, when you start doing this racing thing or driving, you don't look forward. You don't think about things to come and get done with racing. And the Speedway named a grandstand after us. Not just me, but all three of us. Bodine Grandstand. I was like, man, that's pretty darn cool to have a grandstand in your name, right?
Yeah. That's really cool. It's not,
yeah, so.
Absolutely. It is a testament to what all of you did in that area, for that area, and for the sport. You said always going forward in that answer. Well, Ross Chastain is always going forward. He just seems to run into everybody that he's going forward with. Can he keep getting away? And Ross is from our neck of the woods, and we followed his whole career, and we're big fans of him. However, he has been bumping into damn near everybody he can this season, and as good as this season has gone, can he keep getting away with driving the way he's driving, Todd?
Okay, so let me give you a little backstory here. So I've known Ross since he was 12 years old. I'm friends with Mike Greenwell, who Mike played 14 years for the Boston Red Sox.
Sure.
They're from the same town, Alva. In fact, Mike and Ross's dad went to school together. And when Ross was 12, I was down. Me and my wife were at Mike's, staying and hanging out. Mike said, hey, I want you to come meet this young kid. He's going to be a racer. He's a racer, and I think this kid's good, and I want you to meet him. He'd love it. So we went down, and I met Ross. So Ross is kind of like our nephew, all right? He lives not far from here. He's over all the time. So I'm a little prejudiced, okay? I'm going to give you that one. And The kid, first of all, is one of the nicest people you're ever going to meet.
Totally.
You know, he's just a good person at heart, and he's a hell of a race car driver.
Yes, he is.
We've known this since he was 12 years old, that this kid has got this raw, natural ability. And part of Ross's issue, I believe, and I've talked to him about it. We've had several talks about it. But part of Ross's issue is he drove back of the pack race cars for so long, and now that he's in the front, it's different. It's a different kind of racing, and he's so fast that a lot of, and it's not just Ross. There's a lot of kids that just feel like they have to go 100% every lap, and that's when you get in trouble. 99% of those laps are going to be fine, but that one lap that you make that mistake is going to cost you. And in this case, he's done it several races over and over, and he's just got to learn. And it's something that you can't teach. You could talk to you blue in the face, and I've talked to him about it. It's just something that you got to learn. You have to learn when to pull your own reins back and control yourself and say, this is not the time. There's a brake pedal in there, there's a gas pedal, and you control it. You understand that. So you have to figure out when to let off. And Ross's nature, as in anybody, any race car driver, their nature is to go as fast and as hard as they can go. That's what we get paid to do. That's what we love to do. That's why we got in the sport. It's to pass the guy in front of you. But there's times you just have to pull the reins, and he will figure it out. He's going to go through some lumps and bruises when guys get even with him, and then they will. Yeah, Denny owes them. There's no doubt. I mean, Ross has done it twice now. So he's just got to expect it. And the thing about it, that interview after St. Louis, that was Ross. That wasn't an act. That wasn't something he said to appease anybody. He genuinely felt horrible about what happened, and he does every time something happens. So, it's just one of those things. As a driver, you have to go through.
All right,
figure it out.
And we're talking with Todd Bodine, who's won the Truck Series Championship twice, longtime racer, and is part of Fox's NASCAR coverage. You can follow Todd on Twitter at @team_onion, team_onion. All right, first thing is, so what's the code here for Denny? Because let's face it, Ross is going to be in the playoffs here. I mean, Denny could wreck his season if he wants to just keep it in his back pocket and wait 2 more months. Or does Denny have to, when he wrecks Ross, does he have to do it here in the next 6 weeks?
Well, that's up to Denny. I mean, I couldn't go into the playoffs and essentially wreck someone that's in the playoffs. I just, personally, I could not do that. I could not, you want to get even? Okay, get even. But don't ruin the guy's chance for championship along the way. That's a little extreme.
Yes.
I think, you have to, there's little checks and balances that you gotta do what you gotta do, but, make sure payback is pretty even. So we'll see. I mean, there again, it's up to Denny, what he feels like he needs to do.
How good's this series right now? I mean, it seems that there are a lot of great young drivers. This new car has been, at least from the outside, seems to be met with rave reviews. Where are you at with where the series is right now, Todd?
Well, I tell you what, I was not a fan of this car. And honestly, I'm still not a fan of different aspects of this car. But the one thing that this car has done that we all hoped and prayed and thought that it should, it has made a level playing field.
Yep.
In the sport to this point, well, actually in all the other divisions of every other class in the country, it's this way. Money buys speed. How fast you want to go, right? The more money you got, the faster you're going to go. And that's where the Cup Series was at. And it was to the point where the disparity was just tremendous, where maybe it didn't look as bad as it really was, but, the top three teams just had so much more than the rest of the group. The top three teams being Gibbs, Hendrick, in RCR. And I'm going to leave Roush out of that because they've just been struggling. They just have not figured it out yet. But this car, the fact that every one of them, and this is so hard for me to even get my arms around because of so many years of racing, but every single car on the Cup car on the racetrack is exactly the same race car. There are no differences. So therefore, it comes down to the engineering group, comes down to the crew chief, comes down to the driver and the pit crew. It becomes about people. How good are your people? How well are they doing their jobs? That's what it comes down to. And the perfect example is SHR has, with everything that team has, the engineering, the group in the shop, the people putting the stuff together. I mean, they've got the best crew chiefs and drivers you can get, and they can't hit their butts with both hands. So what does that tell you about this car? When a group like Trackhouse, their engineering group, man, give them a pat on the back if they've done a hell of a job. Because when you unload these cars at the racetrack, whatever you've got in it is what you've got. You're going to race it. And they're spot on every single week.
And for those
they have figured this out, and they're doing their job. So this car, to me, has changed NASCAR in a profound way. And it's really fun to watch these races. I mean, they are fantastic races every week.
And so many first-time winners and so many different winners so far in the first half of the season. For those that don't know, Trackhouse, the team that Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez are a part of, and this is really their first full year at this highest level, and they are both crushing it, particularly Ross, who is second in the standings. Todd, final question. Harvick going to make the playoffs?
I don't know. Man, I just got done telling you.
Yeah.
Man, they just struggling every week. And it's so surprising. One of the best drivers our sport's ever seen, with absolutely one of the best crew chiefs our sport's ever seen. And they struggle to run in the top 10 at times. I mean, it just is, it's mind-boggling how they cannot figure this out. So the short answer, your guess is as good as mine. Because, I mean, I just don't, honestly, I don't see it happening.
I don't either, because it looks like you got to win to get in. And as you mentioned, they just don't have the speed. Todd, all the best to you and the entire Bodine family. It was a thrill covering you back in the day, and continued success when you race on the Truck Series. And hopefully we can do this again.
Absolutely. Yeah, someday I'm going to be living down by you guys, so maybe we'll go out and play some golf.
Sounds like a plan,
well,
Todd. Really appreciate it.
And it sounds like your buddy Mike Greenwell's now getting into politics. All right, you may want to give him a call.
Yeah, I know all about it. We were together. Well, actually, Mike came to Nashville to my race, and we were hanging out after the race, having some wine. And I said, let's count up how many professional careers you've actually had. And we counted them all up. And now that he's into politics, that makes 7 professional careers that he's had.
He's been pretty damn successful at all of them. Thank you, Todd.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Todd Bodine, 2-time Truck Series champion. He's part of the NASCAR on Fox coverage. And you can follow Todd on Twitter at @team_onion, _onion. I didn't realize, even when booking him, that he was, that close to Ross and the Chastain family.
Neither did I. That's good stories we got there out of Todd Bodine. And
yeah,
sounds like he's coming around on the car, because I will say, and I'm a NASCAR novice. I fully admit that, but I've watched more. Ross Chastain has brought me to the sport more than anything else in the 52 years I've been on this planet. But when I watch, it's entertaining now.
Yes,
and
it
I
is.
don't remember, and maybe it's just the fact that he's really good and he's a top 10er in damn near every race. And now my daughter's got a car, my son's got a car, so we all watch competitively. But these races have been far more interesting, at least in my eyes this year.
What is your daughter going to do, though, without the M&M car?
It's probably going to Chase Elliott. Number 9's her favorite number.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because I figured it wasn't a Napa thing. I mean,
no.
She couldn't have been, attached to air filters yet. It's a little soon.
They pay the bills around the house. They're pretty, she does sleep on a Napa filter. I don't know if you're aware. We use it as a pillow now in the house.
Well, they are tremendous and multidimensional.
Besides, her mother wants her father on a filter most of the time around the house.
Well, I mean, goodness knows Miller and Moulton have needed a filter for much of our lives. It's just a matter of what kind. So nice of Todd Bodine to join us here on Miller and Moulton. If you miss any part of the show, for those of you in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice, it's worth downloading today. We had a good show.
Somehow we're pulling this off through the summer, and football's weeks away. We're getting there.
So if you miss any part of the show, go to floridasportsnetworks.com, floridasportsnetworks.com, and download what you missed. Good show on this Tuesday. Numbers are 46, 51, and 58, by the way. Got some grief from a buddy of mine. He goes, hey, a Nebraska-Northwestern game. That's a good game.
Thank you.
He goes, you need to start giving week 0 a little more love.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Besides, we got Vandy and Hawaii late night to make up for all the betting.
That is true. All the FCS games you're going to lose money on, you can make it up with Vandy at Hawaii. That is true. Take the Warriors and lay the points right now. Thanks so much for listening. The bonus hour in the 239 is next. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Smith subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made to order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local, eat delicious with John Smith subs. Find a John Smith subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made to order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith subs. Find a John Smith subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, Are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
This guy's a patent attorney. That Rob Weaver?
Really?
He's a patent attorney. That's his real job. He just checked me out on LinkedIn. So yesterday I looked, because LinkedIn has way too many notifications. And it says these people, blah, blah, blah. You've appeared in 7 searches this week. So I see this JVC Broadcasting. Well, they have the man radio in Orlando that Bubba's on. So I reached out to Bruce and I'm like, hey, you talk to anybody in Orlando and Fort Walton Beach? He's like, no. Like, do you know anything about JVC Broadcasting? He's like, yeah, I do. I did reach out. I'm like, okay, well, they were checking me out on LinkedIn. Don't know if that's a good sign or not.
Yeah, I have to admit, I don't like the fact that they wanted to take control of the affiliates. I do like the fact that Bruce is getting as involved as he's getting, but put it this way. If we're grabbing Daytona before football season, that makes 5. I'll put the over under at 5.5. How many do you think?
Under.
Okay. And
I know. And that's why I don't call, because I'll inevitably get myself worked up and I don't. Where are we with Key West? You know what I mean?
Right.
And no offense, I could take a weekend and leave on a Friday and go down and visit this guy and spend the night and come back on Saturday. Anytime.
Listen, I even said we could do the show, get in the car and make a 2:00 appointment.
Yeah.
And stay and do whatever. And then.
And either drive back
or we could drive back.
Yeah.
I go, we could just make a day of it. If that's what's needed to secure.
Because that's a big
West
stick.
Palm. Yes.
Well, Key West is like 100. I mean, that gets you.
Yes.
You do West Palm. You kind of sandwich Miami.
Totally. Yep. So. I hate the haircut. Hate it.
I was so impressed yesterday. I got my AC was out, as I told you.
Mm-hmm.
Called them at 10. They were at my house and done before 2:00.
Wow, that's amazing, especially during summer when.
And it's a Naples. They're out of Naples. It's a buddy of mine's company, but I don't. There's nothing that lights up their screen that says Mark knows the owner, if you know what I mean.
Right.
The best part is they bill you too. And then what usually happens is then I call the owner and say, all right, what do I owe you? See this? Watch this. Kid's got one arm.
Oh, yeah. And he crushed it.
Boom.
No, I normally my haircuts are fine. Guy screwed up.
Ended up looking great.
Right. And everybody loves it. Right. Mm-hmm.
You won't break my soul. You won't break my soul.
Felipe?
I'm telling everybody.
Felipe, you don't have a good singing voice. Okay?
Have you ever karaoke'd?
In the shower.
No, that doesn't count. So you've never done it because you're an enthusiastic singer, at least here on the show, and I'm curious, therefore.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour, Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Thanks so much for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Tom Rinaldi, Seth Everett on the show tomorrow, by the way. Oh, by the way.
That'll play.
Yeah, we think so. It's not a bad start. Really 24 hours in advance.
That's a really good start.
Yeah. So, especially for mid-July. So, Tom's got a thing that he's worked on long and hard, and it debuts next week. And so he's kind enough to sit down and, yeah, he's going to promote what he worked on, but it's an interesting subject matter. And, well, we all know Tom Rinaldi from his many years at the 4-letter network and now with the 3-letter network. We have to ask him about Qatar. He's doing the World Cup, you know.
I was going to make a really bad joke and say he plays the guitar. What?
We could, who knows? We could ask him about that as well. Let's kick a few things around here.
Okay.
If we can. First off, how much weight you putting on this Mets Braves series from the Mets standpoint?
I think every series that the Mets and Braves play is huge to the Mets. I don't think it's nearly as big to the Braves. Been there, done that, World Series champion. I think the Mets are playing the regular season a little bit, and you can't do it in baseball. But there are certain series in which I believe the Mets look at those as playoff series. I think every time they look at the Braves, they look at this as a 3-game playoff series. And the difference between winning the division and being a wild card in that division is enormous.
And we went through this earlier in the show. Baseball this year, 6 teams in each side. It's how the NFL was when they had 6 teams for the longest time. Top 2 get buys. You're going to have a best of 3, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. It's my understanding they are not reseeding. So, and I think right now you have to say that the second and third best teams in the National League are the top 2 teams in the NL East. Well, one of them is going to be the 2 seed, and one of them is going to be the 4, which right now would then play the Padres in a best of 3, and that's a dangerous series. Padres have pitching.
Well, and the Padres are as close to anybody, you know, I mean, I if you were ranking them, the Padres would then probably come next.
Well, they have the 4th best record,
before the
I believe.
Brewers and the Cardinals. And I know the Cardinals are tied with Philadelphia right now, but until I see Philadelphia do this for a while, I'm going to go Cardinals.
So the difference between being the 2, which is playing the winner of Milwaukee and either St. Louis or Philly, or being the 4 in which you got to play the Padres, then the Dodgers, and then the winner of the NL East in theory. I mean, that's a tough road just to get to the World Series. That's a lot of good pitching.
And David, I think the Mets, their fans, everybody is taking the series far more seriously than you are. We got someone in our Twitch chat room who thinks this is the end all be all. And I think that's a little over the top. You know, I've got my 2 neighbors that are diehard Mets fans that were all into this.
She's going to be beaming when she walks around the neighborhood this morning.
Oh, yeah.
With the dog.
With the Scherzer win. Are you kidding me?
She may walk that dog into the ground. She'll be so happy. She may walk forever.
You got that right. So I think the Mets take it with more consequence than you do. I have been stunned at, I don't know how little, but just how you've kind of been a come see, come saw with this series, as opposed to you don't think it's as important. Why don't you find these series with the Atlanta important? The number of times they play them the rest of the way?
They have 14 more games against one another. And that's after winning last night. I think the season series now 2 apiece. 14 more games. So I think we're going a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in the second week of July, number 1. I mean, also deep down, Mark, I just think the Braves are better.
I do.
I know. They're deeper, they're better. And at the end of the day, they do own the Mets. And not just over 25 years of playing in the NL East where they've owned everybody. But I mean, I think it was somebody on the Braves before the series started yesterday afternoon was quoted as saying, listen, this is our division until somebody takes it away from us. Yeah, I totally agree. And you can't take it away from them in the second week of July. I mean, you can't do it.
No, but you can lose it then.
I don't think so. I really don't. let's just say the Mets win their next 2 games, which I don't think they will, but let's just say they do. They're up 4.5. Big deal. Got 75 games left. 5 in the loss column. Got 12 more games left with the Braves.
And I'm just of the belief that the Mets take every one of these series like a little mini playoff series. And I think they have to.
All right.
When you're the team, I don't think the Braves, don't get me wrong here. I don't think the Braves look at it this way at all.
No.
Braves look at it like Tuesday.
I will say, though, Monday night sellout in Atlanta. Sellout on a Monday night. Now, I know, new stadium, they won the World Series. Attendance has been terrific. I don't know how many Monday sellouts they've had. Sold out on Monday night.
The hype train is big in Atlanta right now.
That's cool.
That's
awesome.
Great.
That's awesome to see. I think first off, it's a fascinating series at the Trop. We got to talk about this a little bit.
The 239 series?
Yeah, this is awesome. What is going on the next 3 days at the Trop?
Since we're in the bonus hour here locally.
So, Chris Sale's making his season debut tonight for the Red Sox against the Rays. So, obviously, the FGCU connection, and let's hope he can stay healthy rest of this year because, right, they're a playoff team and like to see him be a significant part of the Red Sox the rest of the way. The Cape Coral kid, the All-Star, McClanahan, he pitches Wednesday for the Rays, just so you know. And then, all right, and I think Zanino's hurt, right?
Right.
The catcher from Mariner and Cape Coral and all that. But then on Thursday, Mark, and I thought originally he was going to pitch on Wednesday, but the kid from Estero High School, Josh Winkowski, is right now scheduled to pitch for the Red Sox on Thursday. So let's think about this. And Cutter Crawford will likely appear in this series in relief for the Red Sox.
And he's another FGCU kid.
So you got Sale and Crawford from FGCU, and you got a kid who went to high school in Cape Coral and a kid who went to high school at Estero who are going to pitch all in this series. And the other local guys on the injured list, or else he'd be playing 3 of the 4 games, Zanino. I mean, this really is the 239 series. This is remarkable. I was really hoping that Winkowski was going to pitch Wednesday. Originally, when it came out, it looked like he was pitching Wednesday. So it would have been him against McClanahan. How about that?
And did Sale start bump him a day? Is that?
I don't know what it was. I don't know why. Evaldi, by the way, for the Red Sox, expected back on Friday off the injured list. So just think about, now, tough ask. Sale's pitching against the Rays. Evaldi, I think, is pitching against the Yankees. But, I mean, it's nice for Boston to think they've weathered the first half of the season with significant injuries to the guys who, in theory, are their 2 best starting pitchers. So, but how about that over the next 48 plus hours at the Trop?
Nice little local lean for a Red Sox Rays series.
2 FGCU starting pitchers, 1 all-star pitcher, and, it hasn't been named yet. I mean, he could start the all-star game, Clanahan. I mean, pitching Wednesday, he's not going to pitch on 3 days rest on Sunday. His normal day to pitch again would be Monday or Tuesday. Well, the all-star game's Tuesday.
And as we pointed out yesterday, that is one of the things they will look at.
Yeah.
In determining who they are going to have start the All-Star game, and try to take care of every team's pitching staff and do as little damage on the arms as you can.
So I just thought that was cool. And I was trying to think if Winkowski does end up pitching Wednesday, and it would be against McClanahan. So you'd have a Cape Coral High School pitcher against an Estero High School pitcher. I mean, that's just remarkable. I'm sorry. But, I mean, Mark, I'm trying to think when's the last time at the highest level of sport that we have had men or women from the 239 that in theory were competing against each other.
Probably had it in football.
And I think you'd have to go back maybe to the Super Bowl, the Bucks Raiders Super Bowl. We had like 4 or 5 local connections in that game But I think the only time that one was on the field against the other, I think, was Ernest Graham at running back with Philip Buchanan for the Raiders at corner. Because, Grammatica was the kicker from LaBelle, and you had Greg Spires, who was from Mariner High, who's a defensive end, but I don't think we had anybody on offense for the Raiders. So, but I mean, that in and of itself, I'm trying to think.
And I thought Eagles-Vikings from a couple of years ago had two, but the players shift so much.
Well, and the Watkins, brothers had played against one another. And so, yeah. But I mean, I don't think it's happening because they moved Winkowski start back a day, but at least that's the way it is on paper right now. But I mean, come on. And I know they don't do television sports in this market anymore. I mean, Waterman Broadcasting, ABC, NBC does a touch. Wink and Fox basically,
weekends only.
And
if it's
that,
on, and you watch more local than I do.
But I mean, if they were pitching against each other, I mean, wouldn't you have to go? I mean,
yes.
Two kids who pitch high school ball in the 2-3-9 against one another. I mean, I don't know. So it's a 4-game series, Rays and Red Sox. Rays won the first game. They're a half game back in the battle for second. And let's face it, they're all playing for seeding. They're all playing first to get in.
Right.
I mean, Seattle's on fire, and we can't discount the Guardians and the Orioles.
There you go. I was just about to pull up their record because they didn't play yesterday, so they're still a game below 500.
Right.
And I believe the Orioles have the Cubs.
Right. They do.
So a series that, in theory, they can win the series and be 500 entering the last part of the week. I think the Baltimore Orioles are going to have a lot to do with playoff seeding this year. I don't think they make the playoffs, David. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I think that they will have a lot to do with how the ALE seeding ends up.
Well, and here was an organization that 10 days ago was going to sell. I mean, they were 9 games below 500. They're clearly the worst team in the division. All right, they were going to be sellers. Well, now you've won 8 in a row.
They still should be sellers.
Boy, they haven't won in 5-6 years.
I know.
Can you be sellers? The signal that sends. Trade deadline's August 2nd. 3 weeks today. It's the trade deadline. We'll see. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com, flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
And if you want, I got a couple minutes on the Durant thing because believe it or not, the team that has the best like matchup of resources is New Orleans.
Just not seen that anywhere, so it's just not as good of a story.
Well, Durant with Zion.
I know, but I mean,
I know. I like the name. Well, that's creative. He's Chris Canty. So they come up with can he or can't he? No? Okay.
Yeah. Very punny. I don't know what it is, but the back of my neck is killing me.
What was going on there? That disturbance were they?
A bunch of Dunkin' Donuts in this girl's hand, and I'm like,
so they were just in front of the door. Is that it, or were they like in your studio?
No, they were just in front of the door. Like they opened the door, and I'm like,
you got to talk into the microphone.
They were like, "Did you guys order Dunkin' Donuts?" And I was like, "No." And they're like, "Well, there's this girl here with a bunch of Dunkin' Donuts," and I was like, "I mean, I'll take it." But then I was like, "Is it for Big Mama and the Wild Bunch?" And then they walked away, and I was like, "Oh, could have used a donut or two."
Well, buried in bourbon, it's JetBlue or United that goes. If you're in Southwest Florida, those are the two direct flights into Newark. Anyway, I've never had a JetBlue problem. You ever have a JetBlue problem? I haven't flied it that often, but taking it to Boston, I've taken it to New York, and I've taken it to Atlanta.
What did I see? Let's, when in doubt, let's go to the Post for a good, bad, and ugly story, David.
There you go. When in doubt, download the New York Post app.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You can text the show, FSN Radio, all one word, FSN Radio to 21,000. That's how we receive your texts. You can watch, chat, follow, subscribe the show on twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. It's the Miller and Moulton channel. If you're an Amazon Prime customer, you get a free Twitch channel because, well, they own Twitch, which means there you go. Make us your channel of choice, just like that. Follow us. And if you want, take the commercials out of the equation and get added benefits, you can subscribe as well.
Well, we've talked the British Open beginning on Thursday. They're all there for the practice rounds, the champions dinner, of which Greg Norman was snubbed from, and the Live Tour becoming a big part of the questioning. Tiger Woods did his presser today and said a few things about the Live Tour. And don't know if it was foreshadowing or not. He said, but some of these guys may not ever get the chance to play in major championships. That's a possibility. We don't know that for sure yet. It's all up to the major championship bodies to make that determination. But it's a possibility that some players will never get a chance to experience this right here. Walk down the fairways at Augusta National. That, to me, I just don't understand. What these players are doing for guaranteed money. What is the incentive to get out to practice? What is the incentive to go out there and earn it in the dirt? You're getting paid a lot of money up front and playing in a few events and playing 54 holes. They're blaring music and have all these different atmospheres out there. Tiger, again, not relenting at all on his thoughts on the Live Tour.
Now, it does need to be pointed out, Tiger and Greg have never been friends, ever. When Tiger was just coming on to tour, that's when, Greg Norman was still considered the number one golfer in the world. And like Tiger's never played in the so-called shark shootout. I mean, he just hasn't. And early on, Greg was asked questions, as all the golfers were, about Tiger, and Greg would put some qualifiers on some of his answers. And, and then when the question was asked about, Tiger or Jack, Greg would say, well, it's Jack. I mean, come on. I mean, he's just, early in his career and what have you. So Greg has given some answers that it's well known Tiger hasn't been crazy about. In the first 5, 7, 8 years of Tiger's professional career. So they've never been friendly, ever. And then now, there's this. Does that play into it at all? I have no idea. Full disclosure, though, it does have to be pointed out.
Absolutely.
Like Phil hasn't played, I don't think, in the shark shootout since it's been in Florida. He may have played in it in its infancy when it was in California for the first handful of years. I don't know if he did or not. But Phil and Greg are on fine terms. Phil has always just said to Greg, yeah, second week of December, I'm not playing golf. I'm done. It's just,
And for most of their careers, they've been too good, quite frankly, to play in it.
Well, right.
I mean, there comes a point when you're at that level that you don't play in the shootout.
Right. But, Phil's lost a little money gambling, and it is a big cash grab. You could fly Amy in and, stay in Naples. And, there are worse ways to spend 5 days.
I still wonder beyond whenever their deal is with, if it's the tour or how this works out, I still wonder what the long-term future of this event is.
Well, I do think it benefits this event that I don't believe it is Greg Norman's company that is running the tournament anymore. Okay. He is the tournament host. I mean, it's a QBE shootout, but it's essentially the shark shootout. Greg is the tournament host, but it's not his company that runs it anymore. Because clearly, if that was the case, I mean, the PGA Tour and would have put so much pressure on its members to never play in it again. I mean, I've reached out, we know the same people, and I've reached out and said, hey, and they're like, no, our field's going to be loaded. Trust me, we got big name guys. We're good.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So, all right. Fair enough. But yeah, Tiger's always been very anti-LIV. He turned down not $1 billion, but close, apparently. Now, I will say this. Even if Tiger wanted to, I don't know if physically he could have played the tour. Because the one thing they are, quote unquote, demanding, my understanding is, hey, if you sign up, you got to play. We got 8 events this year.
And we expect you to play in all 8 of them.
From the minute you sign up, you got to play, man. Well, I mean, come on now. We all know Tiger's physical limitations. If Tiger wanted to do it and accept the reported $700-800 million, whatever it is they offered him, do you think physically Tiger could have played?
Not right now. Not right now. I mean, honestly, maybe by the 23 Live Tour, it's possible. But physically, after watching him play in the PGA, you knew he couldn't go play in 3 weeks.
He couldn't play for the U.S. Open. Never mind the week before the Open, they played in London. Right. And then, they're playing at the end of this month in Jersey. Could you imagine him going from the Open Championship to playing in Bedminster?
By the way, the Miami event, according to the Live Golf website, is sold out. There are 2 tournaments, and not the Jersey one. I believe it's there's one in China, and then there's one at Doral. Those are sold out, according to the website. Someone had put it in a Twitch chat room, and I, quite frankly, didn't believe them. So I went online and tried to buy tickets. You have to get on a waiting list for Doral. Now, I don't know if they limited that. I don't know what the reasons are behind that, but the Live Golf event in Miami, according to the Live Tour website, is now on a waiting list for tickets.
Doral is at a Trump property. Bedminster is a Trump property. And I know that everyone associated with that tour that is planning on being on site, I mean, they had to get Secret Service approval because they were led to believe that the former president is going to be on the grounds at Trump Bedminster at the end of this month for that tournament. Him and Greg are tight.
I wouldn't be at all surprised to see the former president handing out the trophy with Greg. I wouldn't. It's at his course.
I understand.
Wouldn't you, if it were your golf course and you were hosting a tournament, wouldn't you want to be there for the awards presentation?
Yes.
I mean, that does not seem like an unusual request.
No, it doesn't.
Which, by the way, how long before they get a TV deal?
Oh,
they'll be on TV next year, right?
I definitely think so.
I mean, we were talking about, the Big East basketball television rights. At some point, the Live Golf Tour is going to have to get a television deal.
Now, if they stick with this 54-hole thing, I know the first event was a Thursday through Saturday, and so was the second, but they're planning on 54 holes Friday through Sunday. Do you think they do Friday on streaming and Saturday, Sunday on a network going forward? Mark, to me, for their survival, I know they don't want to pay for the time, but if for whatever reason Fox or Turner or a streaming service won't pay them, I think they're going to have to pay to get on television next year.
Or ESPN.
No way. Can't do it. They have a relationship
they've got
with
all
the
the
PGA
tour.
Tour.
That's right. They do all the tour Thursday, Friday on Plus.
Right.
They don't show any other golf.
Right. That's why NBC, CBS, ESPN, ABC, they're all out. Out. And the LIV really needs one of their golfers to win the Open, or at least contend, so they get shown at least. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a power strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
And that's important because if you want Fox, the first half of the year has got two problems. They got NASCAR and they got the USFL, which they own. Now, granted, they split time with NBC and all that, but if you're the LIV and you're trying to get on, NASCAR's damn near every week. So it's are you going to have to, in the first half of the year, run your tournaments Thursday through Saturday?
I think they have to run them Thursday through Saturday for a lot of reasons.
Okay.
September tournaments, they're trying to get on. I know there's college football, but they're not going to get on the NFL. I mean, I don't know where they go on Saturdays. Where do they go on Saturdays in September? Saturdays and Sundays.
No, I know. Turner. That's why I wonder, does Turner work? Because Turner probably has very few conflicts.
David, I just want to let you know the Family Feud debuted today in 1976. I'm going to have a lot of fun to start this. I'm going to have a lot of fun to start this in 1804 because I'm going to tell you that Alexander Hamilton died.
Mark, are you aware he was shot yesterday? So, was John Anderson the first host of the Family Feud?
Hosted by Richard Dawson. Two big baseball retirements today.
Today?
Yes.
July 12th?
Big. Like big names. Ron Guidry and Kirby Puckett. I mean, those are pretty big names.
Yeah. Was Kirby 96 or 90?
Yes.
I watched grown men cry in Fargo about Kirby.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, Canada Relief, they're going to, if somebody's on the first page of the leaderboard, they're going to have to show their shots, but they're going to try to show as few as possible. Well, Trenton, the LIV series is not going to buy local spots. Also, there's not a lot of local time.
Did you see this Clay Travis tweet? The kid, it's a bunch of kids doing a waving thing, and the kid grabs his shit.
Yep.
New York Jets alert signing Stifler's mom. It just doesn't end.
No, and it's not going to. The FSW guy ever get back to you?
No.
Roy? No?
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Tom Rinaldi, Seth Everett, both going to be on the show tomorrow. Very quickly, before you do what you're going to do, we're in the studio here. We got the talking head shows on, and, every day they're talking about where KD's going to go. And it's worth noting that in the last 18 hours, this is the Heat storyline time. For whatever reason, people have decided in the last 18 to 24 hours that
really 18, because yesterday it was the Warriors that he was being traded to yesterday morning.
But
so they switched the narrative
right
by noon, and then it went to the Heat again. It'll go back and forth.
I'm just going to throw this out there, and Felipe, if you want to chime in for a second, this is your material here. Mark, and make as much fun of me as you need to. I have been listening to a lot of NBA radio lately because I'm into the drama. I'm into this. The regular season's a bore. This I'm into. The drama.
Right.
Mark, believe it or not, the team and the organization that matches up best for everything that we all know, that a team that has a KD who has 4 years left on his contract,
right,
is going to want. The team's the New Orleans Pelicans. They can offer a 24-year-old Brandon Ingram, who's an all-star caliber player. I mean, he's 22, 24 a game. And they've got all those Lakers draft picks, many of them unprotected. Oh, hell, the Lakers missed the playoffs this past year. There's no guarantee the Lakers are going to have a lot of success here in recent years. And they've got the cap room where they can actually absorb his 34+ million.
Well, that's not nearly as sexy as Golden State or Miami, David.
In theory, but let's just say it's this Brandon Ingram, a couple of reserves, and they've got good young players in reserve. Remember, they gave Phoenix a really good first-round series, lost in 6. So it's Ingram, couple of reserves, and they give them the 3-4 first-round picks over the next 6 years that you need to give. You think about this. KD, Zion, CJ McCollum. I know we're not used to watching New Orleans Pelicans basketball, but let's face it, in that league, you go where the players go.
Absolutely.
That's that. Come on.
I mean, yeah, and they have a bunch of young guns.
Yes. Everybody's talking about what it is Phoenix and Miami can offer. Toronto's got some intriguing possibilities, but believe it or not, the team that matches up the best is New Orleans. And at first, KD is going to go, are you serious? You traded me to New Orleans? But if you can sit them down and just go, hey, take it easy. Take a look at who we have. Got Zion and CJ McCollum here. And CJ is a perfect third best player on a good team. He's not a 1 or a 2. He's a really good 3. And you're the star. And you got Zion. And in theory, Zion has to listen to KD. He has to stay away from the donuts and the Big Macs. And he's got to stay in shape and play his ass off. Well, they did that 2 years ago. He was all NBA.
And look, I know that a lot of people are losing faith in Zion fast, but he's 22.
To me, this makes total sense. All I am saying, and the reason I joke is that from the national radio standpoint, the national television standpoint, this is boring.
Oh, they won't even bring him up as a possibility.
It's not even been mentioned.
I know that by the TV talking heads.
No. Basketball people are mentioning it because it lines up. I'm just having a little bit of fun here because, oh my God, how do you? I mean, I can't put this at 9 o'clock on ESPN. This doesn't work.
Right. Well, think about it. I mean, the Green Bay Packers became sexy in the last 30 years when they had 20 years as if that was the outpost that you sent guys to when you were mad at them. I mean, let's be honest. If that team was put together next year, the three of us would do what? Flipping through the channels, you go, ooh, the Pelicans are on.
Well, one, it would give us some early West Coast game.
Right. 8:30 Eastern tips.
Right.
West Coast basketball.
What they did when LeBron first went to the Lakers, and it was on all the time. You got a little bit every time he came east. So, yeah.
So, anyway.
All right. I like it.
That would be cool to see Ingram in Brooklyn, too. 1 and 2 picks of the 2016 draft. You got Ben Simmons, too.
I'm telling you, believe it or not, I mean, Brooklyn wouldn't be good right now, but maybe in an hour they would, and they'd have the resources to get good very quickly.
Right, there you go. It's really the most to give Brooklyn the opportunity to be good quickly.
And quite frankly, he'd be the best basketball player in New York. He's better than anybody the Knicks have. So.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
David, we're going to start in the exact same year today as we started yesterday, because it would be today that Alexander Hamilton would die after being shot in a pistol duel the previous day by Vice President Aaron Burr.
By the way, think about how much tougher we were as a country then. So our vice president shot and killed somebody, and we basically let him go back to work the next day.
We didn't change much in 1861 when Wild Bill Hickok reportedly had his first kill. He was later acquitted after it found he acted in self-defense. Early stand your ground, David. 1901, Cy Young wins his 300th game.
He would win 211 more.
1909, the 16th Amendment was passed. It's power to tax incomes. Probably isn't your favorite, even though you didn't know it. Today in 1921, Babe Ruth would set a record. He would hit his 137th career home run.
So that was most all time.
Right.
He would hit 577 more.
6 years later, Ruth would get to 30 today, en route to 60 when he set that record. 1930, Bobby Jones wins the U.S. Open, his third consecutive major title. Love this one, David. In 1931, at Sportsman's Park in St. Louis, 45,715 pile into the 35,000-seat stadium. It was a double dip. All of the extra fans, they say, helped cause many ground rule doubles. There were 11 in the first game and 21 in the second game.
Damn.
1945, the Cubs beat Boston 6-1 to halt the Boston Braves outfielder Tommy Holmes' modern-day hitting record at 37 games. 1954, the MLB Players Association is founded, and President Eisenhower put forth the plan for the interstate highway system on the same day.
That's when we thought government did good things.
1959, we had the first sign stealing by cameras. It was NBC's cameras that were showing the catcher's signals during the Yankees-Red Sox game. Today in 62 was the Rolling Stones' first performance at the Marquee Club in London. Today in 70, Jack would win at St. Andrews. In the event's first 18-hole playoff to win, he would win that by 1 stroke over Doug Sanders.
Who missed a 2.5-footer on the 72nd hole to win it in regulation. It's the famous, if you see the video in which he hits it and he damn near reaches out with his putter to stop it. He knew he had missed it.
Wanted to rake it. Quick rake. Club Pro guy made that famous. 1975 at Carnoustie, Watson wins by 1 over Jack, the first of his 5 British Opens and the first of his 8 major titles. 1976, David, for the first time ever on ABC, we played the feud. Richard Dawson kissing everybody.
I was going to say, I would love to see the original video as to just how many members of families that he was just completely inappropriate with.
1979, Disco Demolition Night at Comiskey. After fans go nuts, the second game of the double dip was forfeited to the Detroit Tigers. I will never forget it because they didn't show the first game. It was one of the games that was on the Tigers broadcast. There's no cable. So it's on your over-the-air network, and they come on, and the field's a mess.
It looked like a war zone. Right.
Today in 84, Walter Mondale selects Geraldine Ferraro, who becomes the first U.S. female major party vice presidential candidate.
It was a big deal.
Yes, it was.
I mean, they got routed, but it was a big deal.
But someone had to be first. 1989, Ron Guidry retires midseason. 1996, Kirby Puckett retires midseason.
I was in Fargo, and that was one of those, Mark, you went out and you did the man on the street story because we were 4 hours west of Minneapolis. We didn't go down for the presser. And I had grown men in tears taping interviews with them. That's how big Kirby was and what the Twins mean in that part of the country.
98, France wins their first World Cup, beating Brazil 3-0. In 2015, Joker defends his title for his 3rd Wimbledon crown, beating Federer in 4. Those born today that are no longer with us: Henry David Thoreau, George Eastman. David, this one for you. Oscar Hammerstein was born today. Is there any particular one you want to go with? Something from The King and I, Sound of Music, Oklahoma? Anything you got over there?
I love Broadway.
Milton Berle and former General Motors CEO Roger Smith. You may know him from the Roger and Me movie. Those that are still with us that were born today: Bill Cosby is, I should have done the math beforehand, born today in 37. Is that 85? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Christine McVie is 79 years old. Richard Simmons, Rick Hendrick, Eric Carr, the drummer, second drummer for Kiss. Cheryl Ladd, born today in 1952.
Hold on. Can I have a moment?
I gave you a moment for that.
Thank you.
Julio Cesar Chavez is 60. Robin Wilson, singer of the Gin Blossoms, is 57. Christy Yamaguchi is 51 years old. And Brock Lesnar is 45. And that is Today Was the Day When. Did I miss anything, David? Or did you want to repeat anything that I said earlier?
No. I'm just taking you for gospel today.
For those that weren't with us yesterday, David went to do 3 stories that I forgot. I had read every single one of them.
Yep.
I paused after 2 of them to get his take on it, and he gave me nothing.
Even Felipe, who's been known to occasionally go, "Hey, did you know?" And we look at him and go, "Yeah, we just mentioned it on the show." Felipe looked at me like, "Hey, dude, pay attention, will you?"
Well, without any further ado, let's switch from one to the other and get right after it.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to New York, where all these people who were supposed to get married and didn't because of COVID, the Lincoln Center for Performing Arts so did Celebrate Love, a wedding. 500 couples Sunday evening got married at the Lincoln Center. We'll keep track on how many stay married. For the bad, we go to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where a 41-year-old woman was arrested after driving to bail out her boyfriend from jail. You see, when she showed up, she had to provide a driver's license. And when she provided a driver's license that had been revoked, that was the first negative. The second one was when they asked that she didn't have a license, they said, do you have registration for the car you drove? She didn't have that either. She stole the car and was on a revoked license to go to jail to bail out her boyfriend.
Unbelievable.
They're stupid, and then there's her.
Right.
Finally, the ugly. We go to Pompano Beach, where Vice Mayor Beverly Perkins was doing 15 to 20 miles over the speed limit in 2 different speed zones when she finally was pulled over by authorities. The cop remarked that she was driving crazy prior to the stop. When they ran her license, the officer opted not to give her a ticket. Told her, Miss Perkins, you need to slow down, okay? She didn't like that. Didn't say anything. The officer says, did you hear what I said? Several times before she nods and begins to put her seatbelt on and then looks at the police officer and says, y'all need to find something better to effing do, and drives away. Did I say she was the vice mayor of Pompano Beach?
Yes.
I don't think that's going to work out all that well for her down the road.
No.
And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, July the 12th, 2022.
Well, we all know about day 2 or game 2 in the Rays Red Sox series. Chris Sale makes his season debut for the Red Sox. It's game 2 for the Mets Braves series. Marlins, come on now. You got the Pirates 3 more at home, and then the Phillies 3 more at home. So, come on, you guys.
That's a big loss for the Miami Marlins yesterday. You don't want to start a 4-game route losing game 1. Now you've got to just try to get 2.
And awkward to end this way, but 4-time Olympic champion Mo Farah, he's a track and field star. He's 39 years old. He's the father of 4. Apparently in a BBC documentary, which is being released today, he says, yeah, the truth is I'm not who you think I am. All right. He was abducted and smuggled into Great Britain when he was 4. His dad was killed, he said, in a civil war, and I was separated from my mother then. My real name is Hussein Abidi Kain. And he's just letting the world know now that, in a way, I mean, my accomplishments are not a fraud, but I'm not who you think I am. Don't know how much play that story is going to get, but especially British Open week, but I don't know. Thought it was worth mentioning.
Hope you enjoyed it today. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Thanks so much for listening to Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed